Notes of a Cornell student. The second note. It's the same guy.
Yeah, he has a wide variety of guests.
I can't afford anyone else.
Damn, so you went with me because I'm cheap? Okay, nice.
No, free.
It's worse.
It's free labor, bro.
Yeah.
No, honestly though, I think it is better to treat this as like we're just talking.
Yeah.
Because like, I think if we address the fact that, like, I'm actually saying like forget about the whole recording thing.
Just talk.
No. Like I'm actually talking to you right now. I'm not talking to like the podcast version. I'm not genuinely talking to you because I actually want to use this to understand a few things about you.
Okay.
And so we're gonna start.
You're trying to understand. Oh god.
No. So we're gonna start with like, what do you want to do in life? I know I kind of know the answer. Come on. Right? Yeah. Well, fuck it, bro. I kind of know the answer, but we're gonna explore this.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Well, first let me say, obviously you can't know.
Bennett.
Will it change? It can change, obviously. Right?
Oh no! This video is holding.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Whatever
so
you
whatever
say
I choose here.
It's just, the IRS is coming for you.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, tax returns on the wrong thing. You were supposed to be a juggler.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Can I open a notes app?
Sure.
Okay, because I do have some notes actually on that specific question.
On what I want to do.
Yes, on literally like I have one that's like it's like life goals, like stuff I want to achieve before I die. Okay. Okay, here's my ideas of at least some stuff where I want to go. So, one thing I want to do is start a better version of CrossFit. So
that's a definite thing you're looking to do.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about that.
Yeah, so like not this instant. And it's sort of hard to do, especially when I don't have any like really what I want to do first is start teaching fitness on social media at some point. Especially calisthenics. Yeah, I have like a couple videos, but not that much. But I really want to start to get into a swing with it. And then the idea from there would be to go into a version of CrossFit that's more science-based, respectfully.
Not bro science.
Yeah, not CrossFit pull-ups. Like
not get your heart rate to 200, then go harder.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea also would be to make it as accessible as possible. So one of the whole things behind calisthenics is that you can do it anywhere, anytime, no equipment. And the other thing is there's always a variation you can do. So when someone says I can't do a push-up, that's never true. What they mean is they can't do a standard floor push-up, but they might be able to do an incline push-up or a wall push-up or a variation that they could do. So not only is it that you can work out anywhere, anytime, no equipment, but also
the 90-year-old
variation
grandma
you
is
can do.
protesting right now. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
No, there's something she can do. I guarantee you.
I can't even stand, so it's like
you can do seated push.
Seated push?
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's like saying I can't do bench press. That question doesn't make that like statement doesn't make sense.
Comatose people.
Okay, fuck.
Are they not people, Doug? No, I get what you're saying. Like the idea of progressive overload, but so low until you can, until you can start. It's like, but that's a very interesting idea because let's go here for a little bit. Then we can pull
back out. Yeah.
The idea of starting at a point like a wall push-up, why do you think that isn't just commonplace? Like, why do you think the push-up is what everybody knows?
Because it's the most practical challenge between like difficulty and ease. So like it's just very simple to do because you can't not have a floor. Right. Like unless you're skydive, unless you're mid skydive,
you can't really not have a wall
or like live in the ocean. Like,
it's not hard to find a wall.
But if you're in an open space, let's say you're in an open space, like let's say you're on a mountain or something.
Yeah.
You can always do a push up.
No,
you can't always do a, and for the same reason that a pull up is also like a standard. Well, that's a little different actually.
Right.
Well, okay, maybe I have to revise my whole.
That's what I'm thinking now. Because I don't.
But like, I guess the standard is just push up, pull up, blah blah. But there's also variations of pull ups too. Sure. It's not just that singular one. There's
right, but what I'm getting at is, I don't think the reason why people don't do wall push-ups is because they don't have walls.
It's because it's too easy for most people.
Too easy? But no, but we're talking about the fact that a lot of people who can't do push-ups just say they can't do push-ups, right? And it's like, okay, well, I can't do anything.
I know. Well,
so why do you think those people don't start with wall push-ups? I have a theory, but I want to know what you think.
Well, why do most people... For the same reason that I felt so shitty after starting my first comedy routine.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucking, and I was like,
okay,
like it sucks.
Yeah.
But it sucks, but it's...
Why does it suck?
Because it doesn't feel good to not be good at something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is what it is. Because, I mean, we don't know why the push... I mean, maybe it's what you're saying that, you know, everybody just knows what a push-up is. But to be able to accept yourself and accept the fact that I can't do a push-up right now. So I have to start here.
Yeah.
That's so shit. Like, it feels like so shit, especially today when you have access to all these people online that are like,
doing behind the back
behind the back clap push-up, the 360 roundhouse push-up,
push-ups, like a push-up without their feet on the ground. Yeah,
bro, they're just flying. They're just in the air. Yeah. Like, you know, I feel like it is just that inability to debase yourself and be like, I am at this level. I suck, but I gotta do this to get better. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's probably a reason why a lot of people are like, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So
I think it is.
Yeah, but
that's the hardest threshold to get people across, too.
Yeah, but like you don't. What do you think about like finding a way around that and being a core part of your like fitness program?
Well, so the person I took, can I show you a quick video? Because this is, I'll just show you like the first
Jamie,
10 seconds.
pull that up.
Yeah, this is our version of Jamie.
We got a guy at the back, just you know, and the video is gonna pop up here right now.
Yeah.
Well, no,
so
you thought
I can do it so everyone can see. Ooh.
Yeah, but, you know.
Sorry.
We could just edit it in, but also, like, no.
So.
Just like with everything else in the world, my friend, if you can't do it.
This is like.
Just like with everything else in the world, you can build up. Let me help. There's no reason to be ashamed if you can't do a push-up. Fitness is a journey, and we all start somewhere. Plus, there are many different kinds of push-ups. So we find a variation that we can do, and we practice it until we're strong enough to move on.
Pause.
We can start with some...
So, can I just say something? So, here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
You tell some, like, skinny-ass motherfucker who's, you know, ashamed of the fact that he can't do a push-up to watch this video, and he's, like, seeing this incredibly buff guy going from single-hand push-ups, telling him, no, you're good, you know, you can start wherever. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. I don't want to listen to you.
Okay.
Like, I'm telling you that's the reaction.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not sure what the way around that is, because...
For me, I sort of felt like this guy's grace and, like, peace kind of smoothed that out a bit, at least. Like,
you can do push-ups.
He wasn't, like,
you're not scared. We're talking about someone who actually
fine.
Doesn't want to.
You know what? Can I tell you what inspired me to actually just go about trying a comedy routine, even though I knew I would suck?
Yeah, you should, of course.
Because that wasn't what this... I wasn't inspired by this video for that. For that, I was mainly... Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't inspired by this ethos, though.
Okay.
I was more inspired by Alex Hormozy. He was talking about two different clips from him. One was him talking about, like, learning a skill.
Context for that is.
Yeah, he's like a entrepreneur. He's the guy who... Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's like an entrepreneur, extremely interesting person, and just very, very practical tips on
life.
On being more effective in general and acquiring the skills, knowledge, beliefs, and character traits that an entrepreneur would need. So one of the things he explained, there was two clips. One was him explaining that like it was about like it was about changing your beliefs, right? And it was about like the fact that most people are scared to start because they suck. But why wouldn't you suck when you start? It's like most people who want to start trying sales, they don't make their first call for the first like year because they're always scared going into that because they're scared they'll suck. There was 2 points he had to this. One is, if all you need to do is shorten that time to get better, then the quicker you can go from having the idea of wanting to be good at it and actually doing your first one, that's like the bulk of the time for most people is doing the first one. So if you could shorten that as quickly as far as you can, then you can progress much faster than you ever could have thought. Yeah. And two is that it's okay to suck, because why would you not suck? Like, it would be unreasonable to start something and be good first try.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's very rare. And so there's like an innate part inside me that's like, all right, well, I feel like if I'm not good, like I shouldn't tell people, or like, yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to be good, but you're not. There's nothing you're supposed to be good at when you do it for the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And so those 2 points in the practical point of just like it's going to take you forever if you never make the first call or attempt or whatever. That combined with the other thing is like put me over the edge, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna fucking do this. Like I'm gonna suck, yeah, and that's fine. Like I should suck. Like why would I not? Why would I be good?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but so I'm just gonna play the
devil's advocate.
No, the weak person's advocate.
Okay.
Even though I'm just like assuming there's a weak person out there.
Yeah.
But I see. I like ideas. I like to break down ideas so that they can work for the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
And this isn't. I don't even think this would be the worst possible scenario. I think it's a very practical scenario where it's like I'm saying this as someone who agrees with you, by the way. But I think the idea is reliant on something being something you have to do, or something you eventually are just going to do, so you might as well do it fast.
Yeah.
But I think there's many cases where it's like, I know I'm going to suck at this at the beginning. I don't want to feel that feeling. I don't have to do this, so I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's really hard to argue with that, because other than, giving someone the motivation to be like, okay, your life is not everything it could be. Mm-hmm. But then why is a push-up going to help? It's not obvious.
Yeah.
It's not clear that doing push-ups is going to, lift you out of whatever you're feeling, because I think if you're in a place where you don't want to learn anything new and you're scared to try anything because you're scared of failure, mm-hmm. which I've been in that place. At that point, you're not happy.
Yeah.
You're not living, a life of
virtue.
Virtue is like, you don't even need to go to virtue. Just a life that's fulfilling in any way.
Yeah.
But the answer is not obvious. Like, why do this thing that I'm gonna hate?
Yeah. Well, I would always go back to that. What's the number one thing people regret? That they didn't have the courage to live a life true to themselves. It's going to be a lot worse to never have done anything than to have not succeeded at something the first try.
Yeah, so look at the practical mistakes that other people have already made.
Yeah.
And, this is just evidence that you're presenting here. You ask people at the end of their lives, and they always regret things they haven't done more than things they have done.
Yeah.
Now, I've regretted some things that I've done.
Yeah.
But I've regretted a lot more things that I haven't done, even so far. And so, I think that's a good way of looking at it, actually.
And I also, well, I don't know if this fulfills your point here, but I also would always go to the point of like, all of the people all of the like heroes that person has, that they were inspired by, that made them have the inclination to pursue that thing in the first place. Like, if they sort of wanted to do a push-up in the first place, but didn't because they were too scared of failing, they probably had someone or some figure or idea or inspiration.
Or something that just
that made them want to do it to begin with. Whoever that was, at one point, couldn't do a push-up. Now...
I think you need a but
this is like they might have been naturally good, but there always was one point where they couldn't do a push-up. And
I agree. Yeah.
Same thing with, well, not with everything, but like especially the other thing I thought about when I started my juggling channel was every single person on social media started with 0 followers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's literally impossible to not start with 0 followers.
Yeah.
So every single person had gone through that phase.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if like
they can do
Justine started at 0 followers and every single other like people with like Mr. Beast with hundreds of millions of subscribers. Yeah, imagine it was only 1,000. Hundreds of millions of subscribers.
He'd kill himself.
Yeah. 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 Hundreds of millions of subscribers. Like, he started with 0 too.
Yeah.
Like, all of them had to have started with
close
0.
to 0 for years.
Years, yeah. And I don't know if you watched that. I was also super inspired by that video of him. It was like message to myself in 5 years.
I haven't seen it. I've seen it pop up.
It's such an incredible thing.
I do want to.
He scheduled a video to himself in 5 years from then, and he was like, dude, if you're not at like 1 million subscribers by now, like, oh my god, dude, like, I'm gonna be so mad at you. Like, 5 years and you still weren't able to do it. Like,
yeah, I like that idea actually.
Yeah,
I might think about that more.
Oh yeah. I kind of want to schedule a video to myself.
I think so, man. I don't think it would be for like a numeric goal like that because that's not that important to me. But like, you know, I have things that I'd want to figure out and ideas that I'd want to explore more, and you know, you can. I think most people, if you just sit down and think about your life and just ask, am I where I want to be right now? And most likely the answer is no, because you're pessimistic, you have high standards for yourself, or you're actually in a bad place.
Yeah.
Most likely the answer is no. And if you just think about that for a few minutes, I think most of us can come up with a few real reasons why that's the case. And so just, you know, scheduling a video like that, holding yourself accountable to yourself is an interesting idea. Yeah. Because there's no one else.
Alex Hormozy has a 1-hour discussion with his 85-year-old self once a week. You know how we talked about programming stuff into your week?
Yeah.
That's something he has programmed.
Wait, what does that mean though?
Well, I mean, it means he imagines talking to his 85.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I was like,
I clone myself, speed him to age 85, and then talk to him.
ChatGPT, become me at 85 years.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would do if you said, like, talk to me as Alex Hormozy
at 85. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you've mentioned him twice now.
Yeah, no. Well, he's a big inspiration for me. So.
That's cool, yeah, no. I mean, that's I guess that's another way to do it. Again, we're getting away from your fitness thing, but to look for people that you look up to.
Yeah.
You know, one way to move in life, whether forward or backwards, is to look around and see what makes you feel something.
Yeah.
Like anything that makes you feel excited or angry or sad, all of those are, you know, concrete things that you can look at and see, okay, spending time with these people makes me more motivated. Spending time with these people makes me sad. And I mean, again, the online space is so unique for that because it's like you have so much options.
Yeah.
You have so many avenues to see who do I look up to? Who do I find interesting? And mold yourself that way. It's so weird growing up on the internet.
Yeah, it is. It's also weird. Can I ask who are your heroes?
My heroes?
Yeah.
Most of my heroes don't exist on this plane of reality.
Yeah.
But I mean, JP...
Well, is it reality? No.
JP, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm a shill of his ideas. I think a lot of my... But see, we can get into this for a bit, because I like this conversation.
I like how every idea goes further into a different idea, and it's like, good. We just started on the first thing that I wanted to accomplish in life, and I have like 7.
Yeah, but it's good to bookmark.
But I do want to go into each of them.
Yeah, it's good to bookmark.
Or, sorry, I meant not go into each thing. I meant go into whatever discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if we don't get to the other 7.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have all the time in the world, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's good.
No, only 2 hours a week. No, I'm kidding.
No, but point is, like, it's just about priorities. Like, how much time do we want to spend? And the amount of time we have, it's better to just... Let it go, yeah. Yeah. Because I did think while we were talking, like, okay, should I bring it back to the fitness thing? I'm like, no, this is more interesting.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm like, I agree. And we can go back to that eventually, because I do want to talk about that too. But so JP, as we refer, my homeboy.
Jordan
Peterson.
Why are you inspired by him?
Well, before that, I actually want to talk about. I think a lot of my ideas are similar to his in terms of my ways of thinking are similar to his, and obviously some of that has to be with like the fact that I discovered him at a foundational point in my life, like while I was a teenager and trying to understand, my place in the world. And so I've thought maybe I have a bias towards his ideas because I found him then. But I've thought about it more, and I don't know if that's true because I also listen to a lot of other very smart people who I respect a lot, who have their own ethos of ideas and, a treasure trove of ideas. And I explore them and I think about them and I integrate them. But it's because I find his ideas to be the most compelling that I, think and feel like I respect him the most. And so even all of his ideas aren't his own. Like his ideas are a lot of them based on Jung and Nietzsche and
Solzhenitsyn.
Well, not all. Not all. He has a lot of his own ideas. But like, the foundations of them do come from Jung, Nietzsche, and people like Dostoevsky and Tolstoy, and so and he's taken them and packaged them up and added his own flavor and added it to the 21st century and the 20th century horrors and so just this idea of, first, is it wrong to base your ideas on someone else? Right? It's like, I don't know. Okay, maybe not wrong, but how much of your own identity should you try and cultivate when you don't know anything about the world?
Yeah, that's
like we're 19. We're not. This is why I have a problem with protests. It's like, you don't know anything. Yeah. What are you protesting? I don't care if you think the world's against you. First, arm yourself with something first, that you can actually use to shape the world. And I feel like, the way you catalyze your identity using different things around you, it's like, it's hard to say whether it's because you just found them and that made you think the way you think, or because you think these ideas are good. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So, but why do I respect him a lot? A lot of his ideas are based on not feeling sorry for yourself, moving forward in life, I found him at a time in my life where I was not having a good time and really like starting to feel bitter about the world. And, he didn't dismiss that. It was like, the world sucks. It's suffering, but it's not only suffering. You can do something about it. He repackaged what the world is as something that, you might have a chance against it. And even if you don't, what else is there to do? Yeah. You might as well try. Yeah. And I mean, so many of his ideas are just fascinating to me. And through him, like, reading other philosophers that, his ideas are based upon, it's just, I found him at a time in my life where it made sense.
Yeah. For me, I'm definitely really inspired by him. First of all, one is just solely due to how articulate he is. Oh, yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. And it's like, that's like an obvious, respectable, like, treat that I'm like, I wish I could be like that. Yeah. Like, just hearing him talk is like art sometimes.
Yeah, no, I agree. It evokes so much emotion sometimes. Yeah. And through ideas that, something that he's said that, like, a lot of people say to him, which I would also say to him, like, if I also agree with this in terms of how I reacted to it, which is, you told me something I already knew, but I just couldn't say it. Yeah. I just couldn't verbalize it. I just couldn't articulate it. And I mean, man, sometimes like I've just started crying listening to him because I'm like, these ideas are so powerful to me and so they're what I want to be. You know, one of his ideas is be someone people can rely on at your father's funeral.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, think about that idea. Think about being there in a suit, putting your dad in the ground or burning him, and you know, instead of, you know, this is a time of grief for you, right?
Yeah.
You know, one of the closest people in the world. But what he's saying is be someone who other people who are suffering can rely on. Be someone who can actually tolerate that grief because it's coming no matter what.
Yeah.
He's not trying to hide away the suffering in the world. He's saying, here's how you can become someone that can tolerate it. The world sucks, but you can withstand it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that core message of his, which is it's two-piece because it allows you, one, to like, if you're not naive, you know that anyone saying that like, oh, don't worry, like everything's gonna be okay, that's not the right path. So first of all, when you realize someone's actually gonna tell you that, like, not just dismiss that and say that it's real, is like, thank you for actually being truthful.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then to second go on top and be like, but you can do something.
Yeah.
It's like addresses the truth and then inspires you past it.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the second thing that's definitely inspiring. And then the third for me is just his like absolute pursuit of truth. Is inspiring to me because he even describes himself as like a fairly agreeable person who all things considered like really doesn't like conflict at all, which is like an incredible description for the situation that he's in, and that he understands that, you know, it doesn't even matter, honestly. Like, I think that trait is respectable whether I happen to agree with him or not on whatever issues, is that
he's standing his ground.
Even though he really doesn't want to. Like, it's not like this guy just wants to, like, you know, make a mess of everything and be like a jester.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to, but he believes it so strongly that he will stand forthrightly.
Right. And sometimes it's hard to like just take someone's word for that, right?
Yeah.
But like I've watched him.
Yeah.
I've seen him, right? And if it was not true and it was just something that he did want to just, you know, call up drama whenever he wanted, he would be doing that full time.
Yeah.
It's only when something is happening in the culture that he thinks is, you know, abhorrent and just despicable and against what he believes, no matter what, he's going to stand his ground. And that's something I want to be capable of. Like, I, you know, the way he talks about it, it's like, in a totalitarian state, are you going to be the person that turns your neighbor in? Or are you going to give them shelter?
Yeah.
What, like, because statistically, you're gonna be part of the system.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the person that, you know, is a part of the Nazi regime. Statistically, that's who you would be in the 20th century. So, man, it's just to be capable of that. It's something everyone has to figure out for themselves. That's another idea of his, right? I love how we're just talking about his ethos, but they're all fascinating ideas, and they're enough to discuss. I love to talk about them because the idea of looking inside yourself at the dark parts of yourself and not shying away from them, not trying to throw them out because it's impossible, but integrating them, that Jungian shadow idea, and real examples of why you need to do that, because 100 years ago, that's nothing. 100 years ago, the world was on fire.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a very real threat that's inside everyone. And if you think that you couldn't do the things that the horrors of the 20th century manifested as, I mean, who do you think did? Like, they're human beings.
Yeah.
They weren't any different from us other than the culture's shifted. We have more barriers in place, but there's still ways to get corrupted. And so, you know, that's what we're doing here. Free thinking.
Yeah.
That's the idea, man. And then lastly, one thing I respect a lot about him is he lives his life by the stories doctrine as well. I think
it doesn't matter. Yeah, but I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah. He lives his life kind of by the stories doctrine too. Like, we disagree on the conception of stories, but you know, for him, religious, Christianity, the religion, he's Christian, right?
Yeah.
But he does think stories are of maximal importance, and you know, they're the best form of communication. And the way he talks about stories is as if they're real.
Yeah.
And you know, that conception of what real means in that sense is something that he explores, and there's no answer to it per se.
Yeah.
I don't need, like, you know, we don't even know what the question is.
Yeah.
And so, but he talks about them like they are, and he understands what I understand. And so when I saw that in him, I instantly felt the connection. Like, okay, this person's articulating something that I've been thinking about for a while that I thought I was alone in. I thought I was crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I know these characters. I know them more than I know people in real life. That can't be nothing. That is something. Yeah. There's something there. I don't know what. Oxygen is real. You can't see it. You can't feel it. You need it to live. All right. Yeah. So don't tell me because you can't see these characters, you can't hear them, you can't feel them. They're not real. That's not a reason. There might be a different reason why they're not real, but that's not it.
It's not because they're not tangible.
Exactly. Yeah. That's not it. I mean, maybe you can't measure them. You can read about them though. You can't read about oxygen. I don't know what I'm saying. I get into such a weird state when I'm talking about this because it doesn't make any sense to me, but it also is the thing that makes the most sense in the world. So, my favorite people in the world are in stories.
Yeah.
They're not here.
So, but those people in the stories were generated by humans.
No.
Right? No?
No.
So you think they exist separately from their creator, their human creator?
Yes, because.
Well, how do you think? Okay, so let me ask, like let's say the story of Batman and Joker is the most.
There's many ways to conceptualize, but like before someone calls me crazy,
yeah,
like let me finish first, okay? Yes, the author wrote the book. That's not what I'm saying. All right?
No, the character existed before the author wrote anything.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. Anyway, go ahead.
No, but I am curious though. Like, you are able to relate to the characters. You don't think that is because the characters are written by humans who maybe had experiences that, right? Like, the characters have to be human because they're made by humans who are inspired by how they were treated and interacted with other humans.
Right. So wait.
So is that the humanist component? Like when you see Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
Maybe you're who's the guy who made it? I don't know.
Pixar, just
whatever. Yes. Maybe you're really what you're seeing, right, is Pixar, whoever made it, his relationship with his family for 30 years that you actually relate to.
Sure.
And it's, portrayed in a documentary style thing, but.
Sure. So there's a lot here, right?
Yeah, I know.
And it takes me to the very edge of my consciousness and my computing power and how much I can try and compress and synthesize. So this is hard shit.
I know.
But I'm gonna try. Yes. So first, to answer the first question, this is a possible conception, right? I'm not saying this is what I believe.
Yeah.
This is a very easy conception that I didn't come up with, which is that ideas aren't made, they're found. And, this idea exists in science and math, too, that math isn't invented.
It's
innate, found.
Yeah.
It's just innate. So when ideas are written, it's very easy for me to conceptualize that they're just called upon by our minds, our consciousness, whatever it is, and those stories come forth and be they're communicated to us through whatever this thing is in our heads. Stories are so integral to our culture as humanity. They've passed on from generation to generation, and it's very possible that I believe they take a life of their own. And so what you said about maybe it's the author just seeing themselves, maybe it's an idea that came to the author that he saw himself in.
Yeah.
It could be that too. And the reason why it's more likely that it's that is because a lot of times people write characters that have like nothing to do with them. Yeah. They're not even close to, who they are. They just have so it's very possible they just have an innate talent as a messenger for these ideas.
Yeah.
Now, there's another part to this where a story grows so big that the author becomes so irrelevant to it. An example of this, a good example, is J.K. Rowling trying to say Dumbledore is gay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care if you think Dumbledore is gay or not. I don't care if you think he should be gay or not. I don't care if you think J.K. Rowling's an idiot or she's a saint and an amazing person. It doesn't matter what she thinks. Harry Potter is beyond her. She has no control.
Yeah.
I know this sounds weird, but the story's already out there. And Harry Potter is not an original story. It's incredibly archetypical. Archetypal. It has so many elements from Christian mythology that it's crazy. Like, he goes into a dungeon to beat a basilisk, a snake with a sword, to save a little girl.
Yeah. Virgin.
Yeah. Like, there's so much archetypal imagery there. And, it's not unrealistic to assume that's one of the reasons why it's so transmutable and so popular. I mean, it's obviously a very well-written story as well. There's many reasons, but the point is, the author doesn't have control. This is what I meant when I said, we did a book club for the book Man's Search for Meaning, and at the start, here's what I said. I said, whatever we find in this book, if you think what you get from it is true and you can defend it, I don't care if Viktor Frankl himself comes and tells you it's not true. As long as he can't convince you with, concrete evidence from the text for some reason that, tells you what you got from it is wrong, it's right, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like, what... This is the interpretation problem, yes, but we're getting all over the place.
Yeah.
But the point is, I'm just going to speak to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have characters in stories that I've known for so many years that I understand on such a deep level that I call upon for motivation and inspiration and to just feel something sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like I know them, and that's more than just an entertainment enterprise for me. So that's what it is for me, and I'm okay with people thinking I'm crazy.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I want to also go into something you brought up. So you were talking about how some people are like good messengers, and they don't even relate to the people that the characters that they made, which is weird because it's then the character, it does exist on its own, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. But where does it come from?
Yeah. Well, it reminded me just of when you said the messenger. It's it reminds me of
who's the Joker. who
I can't answer the question, but I can feel that it is a person, but
is it the person that wrote him? No,
probably not. Yeah,
of course not.
Yeah.
Well, but okay. Think about it this way.
It can't be.
Well, here's a better evidence for it, that we don't even need to look at the tangible world. The person that wrote the Joker wrote the Batman.
Yeah.
They can't be the same person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're literal opposite, and they're the same side, the two sides of the same coin. But you can't have the same. You can't have. Maybe you can actually, but they're not. They're not the entire unified, person.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And, this could be the chaos and order inside all of us. But, again, that's still something you're calling forward and shaping into a character. And to say that that's not real without to say it in a cynical way, where you're like, it doesn't make any sense to me, because why do you spend so much time on them, man? Why do you spend so much time on stories? If they're not real, why are you wasting your time? Because it's fun? I don't know, man. I gotta figure this out before I start making arguments.
Well, I think that this might
hopefully
this might help you on your journey to finding this out, is right, like when you
I'll take it, bro.
when you like, I thought about this. I didn't come up with this idea, but when you think, you don't like, when you think about what do you do when you think, you might think it's just like, oh, well, you just try to come up with the idea and then you.
What does that mean?
Yeah, but what's really strange about it, and it's like supernatural, and this is the like, well, what counts as a real element that kind of relates here, is that like when you try to come up with let's say a solution to a problem, like you literally, what you do when you think is you ask, how can this problem be solved?
Right.
And you like wait for an answer to reveal itself to you.
Right.
Like, how does this make sense? Because this also brings into question, like, what you said, like, is the answer there, or is it generated?
Right.
And that in some way has to go into the
and to bring up
generation of a character, like
it
isn't someone necessarily, but it comes from a question.
Right.
It reveals, the character reveals itself.
Yeah. And I think people have this misconception that when it comes to character creation, right? Someone's just writing down like all the character traits, and then they're shaping
funny,
this character.
ambitious,
Yeah, like that's a very modern approach to writing, and it's not even, the best writers don't do that even today. Like you don't make a thought bubble of your characters, and then you're like, how does this character relate to this character? How does it interact? Like someone tried to make me do that one. I was like, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. Why would I do this? The story is gonna unfold, and when something doesn't feel right, I'll go back and edit. I'm not saying editing doesn't exist, but these characters are not simply a product of calculation and thinking about what's gonna make the most interesting conversation, and then writing it, and then meticulously adding each trait in. That's not how the best writers in the world write. That's not how they make the characters, at least. I'm not saying they don't edit. I'm not saying they don't go over character motivations. I'm not saying all that. But I'm saying there is an element to it that we don't understand. And it, again, relates back to the idea of math. Like, where does it come from? Where does new math come from? We just make it up? Some people believe that, yeah, but a lot of people believe that math exists, whether or not you like it. Whether or not we choose to find it or not. It just exists, and I think it's very possible that ideas, like sometimes, man, I conceptualize my ideas as like a muse, right? And sometimes I feel my muse talking to me. And I'm not on hard drugs. that I know of. But, this
so you wake up from the trip and you were like, wait.
It was all a lie.
Yeah, that was just a dream.
In the Rick and Morty
yeah.
I'm in the fake planet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know that.
The something 3000 or I don't even know. Anyway, but that's just how I conceptualize it, right? Like it's just ideas. We all have it. I'm just talking about how I conceptualize the feeling of ideas coming to me, and sometimes I feel my muse coming to me and just influencing me, and man, I don't know what it is, and I'm figuring it out, but whatever it is, it's beautiful. It's my life. It's one of the reasons that I
haven't killed myself yet.
Yeah, exactly. One of the reasons that I can tolerate the suffering in my life is because these stories exist. These people that have lived with me throughout my life so far exist for me, and I don't need anything else. I don't need validation. I don't need them to be real. Like, I don't need to touch them to know they're real.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peterson was very essential in...
Yeah. That was like the whole Sam Harris.
Yeah, it was part of it. It was a big part of it.
What counts as real?
I mean, they were trying to bring something more like tangible.
Yeah,
and you know, because most people don't care about this.
Yeah.
It's like too metaphysical. So they were trying to actually bring something tangible, and the religious aspect makes it easier, right? Because a lot of people care about religion, but they don't understand the metaphysical perspective of it. They understand, like, a lot of people look at religion as, well, a guide for rules, but then also it actually happened.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd say that question doesn't even matter, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether it happened or not doesn't matter. If stories are real, then the greatest stories in the world don't need to unfold on planet Earth for you to feel them and understand them and respect them. And I'm upset that there's a barrier between amazing religious stories and people who aren't religious. Like, I haven't experienced most of the religious stories because there's just so much fluff around them, and I don't know how to navigate that properly. And I don't want to get lost in something stupid. And plus, I have enough stories like that I need to get through that aren't religious anyway. But, you know, like, I've heard Jordan Peterson talk about these different stories, like Abraham's story and Job. Have you heard of Job?
Yeah.
Like
the Book of Job.
The Book of Job, yeah. I was talking about that in one of the things I heard recently about. Well, here's how he described it. Like, how much do you know about it?
You're gonna have to tell me the story.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Again.
So basically,
I'll probably remember it.
So this is how he conceptualizes it. He's trying to make it accessible to as many people.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of dumbing it down, maybe.
Yeah.
But basically, he's like, God and Satan have a bet, right?
Yeah, I think I remember.
God's very... Oh, from the Theo Von thing you saw?
No.
Okay,
I just remember.
So God and Satan have a bet. God is very happy with Job. He's, you know, a model man. He's, you know, done his sacrifices. He's, you know, a family man. He has a good life, and he worships God, and he has faith in God, and God's happy with him. And so Satan says, I don't think that guy's all you think he is. I think if you let me torture him and let me break him, I can make him denounce you. And God's like, he's all yours. And there's some ethical ambiguity there. Like, it's like,
well, as God, why would you just allow that to happen?
Yeah, it's like, but who knows, man? It's God. But anyway, so
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yeah,
justifies anything. Yeah.
No. So I mean, so Satan tortures him. You know, his family falls apart. You know, all his riches go away. He's just suffering in the worst way possible. You know, imagine getting cancer times 20.
Yeah.
And you know. The test is when everything's going wrong in your life, when hell is about. You know, hell is cancer. Like, hell is when you and your mom and your dad all have cancer at the same time. Yeah. That exists on planet Earth. So you don't need to believe in Christianity to understand the concept of hell. And so when that happens, what are you going to do? Are you going to be like Cain from Cain and Abel and just, you know, try and burn everything down?
Yeah.
And because you think the world owes you something and you're bitter about it, and it is unfair, right? That's the crazy thing about it. It is unfair. You could even say you have a right to complain. You have a right to feel bitter. I'm gonna take it out of the metaphysical. Like, people who get diagnosed with cancer at a young age, when they've done nothing wrong, they haven't smoked a pack of cigarettes in their life, they've kept healthy, they've, you know, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? I don't deserve this.
Or worse, people that have helped others, like Roberto Clemente,
amazing people
who like decided to skip like a super important baseball game or something, I think, to like go give supplies to someone in like a different country, and the plane crashed.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, and I mean, sure, maybe they didn't have a completely virtuous life, but they're living well, and a lot of those people have really bad hands dealt to them. But I mean, death is kind of final.
yeah.
But let's say you're in hell. What are you gonna do? Well, Job apparently decides to just stay the course, to stick to his values, to be a model person even in suffering. And again, you don't need to be a religious person to understand this idea, because we do it every day in terms of understanding it. When we see someone suffering and still walking along with a smile on their face, upholding their end of society, you're like, man, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. Man, what a person.
Yeah.
We're struck by that. And I'm kind of, paraphrasing that part of the podcast. Honestly, these aren't my ideas, but they're not his either. So, and we are struck by that. And it's like, we know this is something we value, right?
Yeah.
So why not try and make yourself that person, capable of being that person? Because maybe your life will fall apart. And maybe it's going to be in a way that you can't imagine. And maybe you are completely justified in complaining and feeling in bitterness and that the world is against you and that you want to burn everything down. Maybe you're justified in that. What are you going to do then? And
pick up the biggest weight you can bear.
And move it.
Yeah.
And move. And man, like that guy on Instagram, King of Chemo.
Mm-hmm. I don't know this.
Okay, so there's a guy on Instagram. He's a guy that was given like...
See the guy who runs?
3 years to live.
Oh, yeah.
And so he got diagnosed with cancer.
Hmm.
He has three years to live. And so he decided, I'm going to break the world record for the most money raised for, leukemia or cancer.
Research,
Yeah, exactly. The most money. And... it sounds like such an easy thing, right? Like, he just made the decision, but man, that's... Imagine that being your reaction to something like that.
Yeah. Imagine it not first thing being, I'm going to spend as much time with my family as I can.
Well, I'm sure he did.
Okay.
I'm sure he did, but I'm just saying, like, as a whole, not just saying, man, fuck this. Like, what... He's
to me, I didn't do anything wrong. Why did God give this to me? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And then to not, just... I mean, I don't expect all cancer patients in the world. I can't expect anything from them. I don't expect all cancer patients to start running around the world doing half marathons and marathons to raise money. But are you going to make yourself and everyone around you miserable when you deserve to? Maybe. Like, there are times in your life when things are unfair. How are you going to respond? That is the only choice you have. Every great intellectual in the past has said the same thing in different words. This is what Viktor Frankl said too. That letter that kid sent him, I don't know if you remember this. This kid sent him a letter after he got out of the concentration camps. And it's this kid under 15, given, a few weeks to live, I think, or a few months to live. And he wrote in the letter, Dr. Frankl, I'm about to die. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm about to die. And I'm honestly seeing this as an opportunity. I'm grateful because I have a chance to be the heroes in the movies and TV shows that I see, that I look up to. I get to be them because I can choose to face this tragedy with grace. And it's like that idea coming from a kid.
Yeah. How does that happen? That's fucking crazy.
I mean, I paraphrase. Those aren't the words he said, but that's basically the idea he said. Like he saw these stories, he saw these characters that he looked up to, and he was like, I'm going to be like that. I can't do anything about this horrible thing that's going to happen to me other than control how I am going to react to it. That's the choice you have. That's one of the choices that no one can take away from you. Now we have more choices, but that one, everyone in the world has that choice. And it's heavy to try and tell people who are much more disaffected than me how to live their lives, but don't listen to me. Go read Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
I don't know who's more disaffected than Viktor Frankl, man. There's not many. So you don't have to listen to me, but you have a choice. How do you want to react to the suffering in the world? That's the choice you're given.
Yeah. Damn, bro.
Yeah, I gotta chill out. No, but it's, man, like thinking about that kid, I've thought about that kid.
Somehow I don't specifically remember that.
Yeah, it's just
that's fucking nuts.
It was like in the ends of the part we read.
Yeah.
After he gets out, and man, like just the idea of a kid thinking that
he was 12. You said
is under 15 for sure.
That's crazy.
And you know, it's just so beautiful. Again, it relates to stories as well. Like he saw a story and he saw a character that he looked up to, and he was like, and he's not real. The character's not real. But this character is the reason this kid's not going to be miserable and you know, just he's going to face hopefully he faced his death with courage and dignity because of this story. So, man, there's something there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, talking about stories, like that's how Viktor Frankl, everyone should read Man's Search for Meaning. I'm not going to stop saying this until I die.
Mandatory reading, yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. Because, again, like I said, Animal Farm was mandatory reading for me.
Yeah.
That book's supposed to be really good, but I just like have a bad taste in my mouth whenever I think about it now.
Yeah.
But the way Viktor Frankl, you know, arranges his book, it's like his story for it's a story that actually happened. So maybe there's more weight to it for some people with that, but it's his story before he outlines the theoretical perspective of why you should live your life the way he's saying. And he's giving you a narrative to understand that, because stories are the best way to communicate ideas. That's truly what I believe. And the different ways people do it, I mean, there have been some amazing stories. And, you know, the ability to embed a philosophy, an idea into a story and communicate that is something that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like his you can feel that sense of, you know, I'm suffering but I'm still trying throughout that narrative part.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt that too, but
yeah,
you know, when he's like thinking about his wife, and I know we didn't really fully understand that.
Or when he was talking about the soup and how like sometimes he would get the bottom part of the soup, which had like the more like dense,
man, and it's amazing what stories can do.
Yeah,
I'm kind of blathering on about this now.
Can I tell you one thing? So that made me think of like, well, you were like, well, stories are like such a good way to give information, etc. And I was like, well, is it as good to give information about math? And then I remembered one story that has stuck with me unbelievably from math, which
I'd love to hear this.
We're ready? So what happened was it was like, I think people at war, and they didn't know like how we were learning about like geometry and like similar shapes. Do you know what this term means in math? Similar shapes? Yeah, so it doesn't mean shapes that are like look similar. Yeah. You know what it means mathematically?
I think so. Well, it's been a while.
All right, so it just means shapes that have the same ratios.
Yeah.
So even if they're not the same absolute length.
I did learn this concept. Yeah. I then chose to remove it from myself because I hate it.
This story might change your mind. Okay, so
okay, pause.
Yeah.
Bathroom break.
Okay, fair.
No one come back and do the story. Alright. We're back.
Okay, so I'm
sorry, just 1 second before, because I kind of went off the rails. And I do want to like give context for everything I said because, okay, the book that I kept referring to, Man's Search for Meaning, it's about Viktor Frankl, a psychologist in the Nazi concentration camps. We read it and we loved it. And, you know, it made me cry a lot of times. And I have no problem saying I cry a lot. If I did, I don't. It's really when things hit on a very deep level to me personally that, you know, I just, yeah, the tears come. And, you know, everyone should read that book. Now I really want to hear you talk about stories.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited.
A question is like, can you use, right? I think it's pretty obvious you can use stories to understand like ethics and philosophy and psychology. Like definitely, I can definitely foresee how that could be better than, you know, just telling someone. But then I was like, well, for math and CS and engineering, would it really be better to give a story? And this story has my answer is maybe, because although this story doesn't, this story didn't teach me math, but it taught me the importance of it. That it stuck with me since I heard about it. So the problem was that like these people were, one other story that could give you the importance of it is just watching Oppenheimer, actually. but it didn't stick. But this story was like specific, and it just stuck with me.
I'm passing the water bottle.
Yeah. So what happened was like, and I actually think it wasn't actually about similar shapes. It was just about
Yeah, it doesn't matter though.
It was about like coast tan and whatever. But so what they did was there's like a lake between this and the people they were fighting or whatever, and they had cannons and they wanted to launch them, but they only had like a certain amount of ammunition, and they didn't want to. They know how far the cannons go depending on what angle you launch it, but they didn't really know how far the river was.
Yeah,
and it's like, just measure it. It's like, okay, well, how the fuck are you gonna measure this? Like, swim
and also,
across.
Aren't you
like,
at war?
Yes. So, and if you go to the other side, then they kill you. So,
exactly.
So how are you gonna
guys?
measure this?
Hold up. Just we need to measure this lake.
Yeah. Can you chill real quick? Like, we need to use our cannons.
No reason. We gotta measure this. Just logistical purposes.
Yeah. So this is what they did. They measured. They stood at their edge of the river. And they stood up because they know their height, right? They know how tall they are because they can measure that. Yeah. And then they got a hat, like a sombrero type hat. Yeah. And they tilted it until the hat met with the with the other edge of the river. Yeah. Making a triangle going from like height here, which they had the measurement of. Yeah. And then like hypotenuse and then like river length. And then they knew the angle. So then knowing the side and the angle, they could calculate the distance of the river. Yeah. And they did that and won the war.
Yeah, wow. No, that's crazy.
And then, like, that stuck with me. Like, even the formulas in math I might not remember, but that story I'll remember. Because I was like, wow.
Bro, but, like, it's
I was like, wow.
Annoying to me because imagine telling that story while you're teaching base, hypotenuse, angle, what's it called? Trigonometry. Yeah. And, I mean, maybe some people won't care, but I think a lot more people would be interested. And so I don't think... So that's very interesting. Thank you for telling me.
It didn't teach math.
Yeah. I think it embedded an idea. Yeah. Which is... The idea is how is math practical? Yeah. And how is math actually useful in life? Yeah. And... Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, again, with Oppenheimer, you know, I really don't see Oppenheimer as a science-based movie at all. I actually think it's a movie about the humanities. And yeah. I haven't...
I agree. There was very little science in it.
Well, I think there was a lot on the surface.
But it didn't go into...
Yeah, right. No, not the formulas, obviously. Yeah. But I meant, like... But here's what I'm trying to say. Like, not in a teachable way, but... Yeah. But all the ideas and
presented,
the presentation was about science. But the way I saw the movie, and I actually wanted to write something about this, but I didn't. I don't know. I didn't.
Now's your chance.
I didn't think about it. Well,
to verbally write about
it, tell a story. Yeah. No. But to me, the movie was a clear showcase of what happens when you ignore the humanities, and when you ignore
why?
Because Oppenheimer and his team were only looking at the bomb as progress, as a tool to get further on the roadmap to science for them, and from the military perspective to give them a weapon to have a chance of winning the war.
Yeah.
What the humanities do at its core level is teach you how to think. Now, I've been called out by my best friend for saying that the sciences don't require you to think. And, well, that's not what I said, but apparently that's what it came across on Cooper's podcast. Yeah. Where, like, I was like, you know, the humanities teach you how to think and the sciences teach you what to think was kind of the idea I was saying. I wasn't saying you don't need critical thinking for science, but I'm just saying it's not the most important thing or something that everybody in science needs. Like, most of science is like progressively building on the other's idea, and a lot of research that's done in the same way. And I just think critical thinking and knowing how to think and what, you know, your values are much more of a integral part of the humanities. That it's not saying which one is better or worse. You need both. And I think the lack of consideration about what does it mean to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
Again, now, obviously, maybe some people were thinking that in real life at that time.
Yeah.
But if we just look at the movie.
Yeah.
And if we assume that it's an accurate representation of how Oppenheimer and his team went about making the nuclear weapon, they're so focused on progress. They're not
scientific progress.
Right. They're not considering the implications of what they're doing.
Yeah, and you saw that when they went into that room and they were like discussing whether or not to actually send it, basically.
Right.
And like he kind of was like, oh shit, like now I already made it now. Yeah, fuck. Exactly, like
and you know,
and all the like trauma he went through after too.
Yeah.
Like
there's hints of that in that question.
Yeah.
Where they're asking him like, why didn't you support this like more advanced hydrogen bomb?
Yeah.
And it was like, and the implication is because I made a nuclear weapon, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you abandon the humanities, I'm grouping humanities because, you know, there's different parts of it that would lead you to understand who you are, why you do things, what your motivations are. That's not, other than like neuroscience and understanding, you know, psychology is kind of a bridge between those two, but even neuroscience is looking at the chemical makeup of the brain, not understanding why you do things on a philosophical level, which is what you would need to understand that the implication of Oppenheimer is more concerned with his bomb being used than making a bomb for the United States.
Yeah.
That would be something you would understand through deep philosophical thinking and examining yourself from the inside out, and that's how you would come to that. And so for me, it was an example of what happens when you don't have balance, when you don't respect something like the humanities. And, you know, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing if you go the other way. If you just focus on the humanities and you don't ground yourself in something practical like science, if you don't test your theories, if you just go way too far into the metaphysical realm, if you let creatives like me just run rampant in society, you get a lot of things that I'm not going to get into, which are kind of happening right now. You got to keep us in check. Like, you got to be like, here's your cap, here's your space, here's where you can operate. Go crazy, go nuts here. But if you go out of here, you're
cut
down.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you have to impose limits on us so we can try and, you know, use our creativity in that limit. And, you know, like that's that chaos and order border.
Yeah.
Like, we want to go into chaos, bring a little bit into the order, and mix it all up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think I think that balance is lacking in the movie. I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but this is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if Nolan wanted that as a... I mean, he definitely wanted people to think about what Oppenheimer did.
Yeah.
And think about it from a more nuanced perspective. But this idea of the humanities, I saw it. And so that makes it real.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving evidence. Like, you can disagree, and then...
But evidence.
No, and then we talk. But again, saying it's not real is like, well, what is real then?
Yeah. Can I shift the conversation?
Of course.
Okay, so before I came here, I watched a Middle Ground episode.
I don't know what that is.
It's like the Jubilee videos where they're
okay.
Yeah, which, by the way, I feel like actually in how polarized our society is like a gem. Like, the Middle Ground episodes are actually pretty awesome.
The sample size
they do it. It's 8 people,
yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, I agree. but the fact that those videos do get like tons of views and people are actually interested, and the comment section isn't completely toxic, gives me like a little bit of hope. Yeah, but this
Jubilee comment section there.
This episode was really interesting to me though. It was like it was ex-Muslims versus Muslims.
Versus.
Yeah.
Who can... No, I'm not going to say it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
See, I can like imply the joke because I'm brown, but I can't say it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
We didn't say anything. If you're assuming something, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
What's crazy, Bennett?
Nothing. It's a normal thing to say.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, they had 2 super interesting
Muslims are intellectuals,
though.
And so,
like, and although I do have to say, even though I just said it was a hidden gem, they cut it off at like really annoying times, like right before it was going to get into like actual like challenge, like where people actually challenge each other and like cause each other to think deeper. They cut it off abruptly? Yeah, like the person, in my opinion, I mean, I can show you the points, but like it would be like they're talking about this and they're talking about is sexuality bad or not. And the like Muslim is like comparing it to, they're like, okay, fine, homosexuality is okay, then why is incest also not okay? Like challenging them on that.
Yeah.
And the person like leading the discussion was like, we're gonna not go to that over there. Can we get this person speak instead?
Wait, they said that?
Yeah, like they let the argument happen for a little bit, but then they stopped it, and I'm like, can you let them try to come up with an answer to that question?
Annoying.
But yeah,
you need more long form. That's the problem.
It is 44 minutes though. I mean, certainly not enough to really flesh out everything. Yeah. But I mean, you never could have enough time to flesh out everything.
Yeah, but they're also trying to make content.
That's true. I know. Well, this is the problem with it. With like capitalism and news is that like one side is trying to profit and the other side is trying to get, let's say, objective stories or whatever, when realistically the best news headers are the ones that are most clickbaity, etc.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, the way to counter that would be to, as a culture,
be better. Yeah.
Value news.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but I don't think
the market decides what's valuable.
Yeah, but I think there's human aspects that are too innate that you can't, like, for example, like news that is tragic is just always going to be more clicked on than news that is good, because there's like if you read psychology, there's like it's like whatever the thing, like the loss aversion fallacy or whatever bullshit, where it's like it's like people are way more concerned with losing something than gaining something of equal value. So I think I mean, I agree we could do as much as we can to value like real non-clickbait thought. I 100% agree. But that wouldn't solve it. But yeah.
Well,
it would solve. It would help a lot.
Yeah.
It would help a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were 2 that I wanted to talk about, which is that one, which is, I mean, we've gotten to this a bit, but I always just think it's interesting.
I don't know, man. Like how do you explain? I know I keep bringing this example up, but how do you explain, something being more popular than all the news outlets combined by far, not being something
Joe Rogan experience? Yeah,
it's just a title about it's just like this guy.
Yeah,
that's the title, and at its peak, 20 million people used to click it, and it's like, And now you can say, oh, it's not representative. More people actually watch, the news as a whole. Fine, but then why even more than one station? Like,
well, there's an aspect to that too, though. Actually, though, is that if Joe Rogan wasn't a controversial figure, I wonder if he would really.
But there's a lot of his episodes that aren't controversial.
Yeah, that's just
for example,
Matthew Walker,
Neil deGrasse Tyson,
20
million views.
Yeah,
I think it's possible, and more possible than we think. And I think you have these thoughts on other things where it's like, just because something's not intuitively, it doesn't seem like it would work. Okay, look at it this way, right? You're saying we as a culture are more drawn to tragic news.
I'm saying it's a human...
Right, sure.
What's the word?
Yeah.
What's the word when it's like it's not a fallacy,
tendency?
But no.
Human defect?
No. It's heuristic.
I don't think that's the right word.
No, not a human heuristic, but heuristic is the right word for something that's like a weird brain thing where you automatically will favor a certain, like a bias, basically.
A heuristic is like a guideline.
In psychology, I think it means like a bias, basically. I'm looking this up.
I might be wrong on that.
Because it'll be called
heuristic to me is like, because you can use it in the context of a bias.
I mean, like that, I would call it like a category. A heuristic would feel like a category, basically. But
it's like a guideline. It's like rules.
Heuristic is the process by which humans use mental shortcuts to arrive at decisions.
Yes, that's exactly. So heuristics, for example.
So like the loss aversion heuristic would be the shortcut that we use that makes us think it's more important to look at something bad than something good. Or something that we might lose than something that we might gain.
I don't think that's what it is. Because here.
Well, that's okay. Whatever. I guarantee you that is how it was used in the psychology class that I took. But that could be wrong.
Really? Because here's the easiest way to think about it. The chess.
Yeah.
That's all heuristics. Like the way they come to the conclusion, because there's so many patterns.
Yeah.
The way the grandmasters catalyze the rules that, you know a lot more about chess than me, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so those are what you would call heuristics, and but anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't need to use a word.
Well, you know what the availability heuristic is? It's like making decisions on info that's immediately available to you. So, for example, people who are in medical school are way more likely to misdiagnose themselves with an illness that they don't have because they know about all the illnesses.
I think I understand how you're using it now.
Okay, that's what it means. But there's a different word. There's normally a different preface word before each of them.
No, but I think I understand how you're using it now. Basically, you're saying that the guideline is that, tragedy is more...
Yeah.
Is more important to us.
Well, the loss aversion heuristic.
How do you choose what information to pay attention at?
Yeah,
that's the heuristic. And tragedy.
Yeah, and with the one that is about loss aversion specifically, we'll say is that one. They did a study and it was they gave people mugs and they were how much would you need someone to pay you for you to give this mug to them? And then they had a different group where they didn't give them a mug and they just asked, how much would you buy this mug for? Mm-hmm. And people would ask for much more when they own the mug first.
Yeah.
Because to give it up, they were more unwilling to do than...
Right.
But that's not we don't have a societal, that to me just seems like an innate human thing, which is how I think...
We can assume it is. Fine.
Yeah.
But again, we kind of got lost.
I know, sorry.
No, that's not... Again, like I said, semantics are important to me.
Yeah.
But the retention stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I don't give a shit. So it's no one's watching. Anyway, the point is, in 5 years.
Yeah.
No. What I was trying to say was, we can change the vertical. We can change what level what we're using to grab clicks. For example, what I mean is, why is Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson worth 20 million views. It's because it's presented in a way that people care about, and it's things that people care about. And I think there is a way to do that with news that isn't just clickbaity and, you know, attention grabbing. And I think that puts a lot of people off too. I mean, yes, we are attracted to like tragedies and loss, but we're also attracted to other things. And you can have better versions of those other things. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do agree. Like the fact that Rogan gets that many clicks on like 3-hour podcasts consistently.
It's an anomaly.
That's not like clickbaity. Yeah, it's like, wow.
It's just the thumbnail is a picture of him and the guy sitting.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's just clear proof that
it can happen.
Yes, and it's something that's, and the fact that it's also something that's desirable means we should try and figure out why it's a thing and make it happen, because this whole you know, clickbait phenomena is so detrimental to good journalism in America. It's, I mean, the fact that there's an incentive to sensationalize, that's so corrupt, so corrosive. Like, I mean, how can you trust something if you know that there's an incentive to make it more than it is, make it seem more than it is? It's like, it's a very hard dilemma, and you need to rely on the moral compass of the journalist and journalistic integrity. It's like, and it's already a profession where, you know, you get paid peanuts. Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess it leaves room for the people that are actually doing that to, you know, rise to the top. But, I mean, just the amount of time CNN has lied about Rogan. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how many of those stories you know, but...
Did you see the one where they, like, edited, like, the video?
They put a filter on it?
Yeah.
They made him look
that
yellow?
Was so funny.
Oh my god, that was
crazy.
Dying, bro. Have you seen the...
That was crazy.
So he got the doctor that goes on CNN on his podcast.
Yeah. I feel like I remember this.
Well, so
what happened from there?
He talked mad shit on CNN.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not mad shit.
Did he leave mid-podcast?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
really? It was actually... So I was surprised about this. So when I found out about this, in my head I was like... Because I just started pretending like it's actually happening. Even this was years ago when I saw it, when I found out about it. So I was like... I was so excited to watch it because I was like, oh my god, he's going to grill the shit out of me. And it was actually a good conversation.
Really?
Which I was like, I like it. But see, but this is what I'm saying.
You're not sure if you were let down or
not. But this is what I'm saying, right? Like, I wanted drama. Yeah. It's related to what we're talking about.
Yeah, you wanted clickbait. Yeah.
But then...
And then got something better.
Either. Yeah. And I got an amazing conversation about COVID, about vaccines, about, you know, he brought up the children dying, and the doctor... you know, brought up his own perspectives, and they had a balanced conversation about it. And the doctor said he's going to look into some of the things that Joe brought up, because he was like, I didn't know about that. Yeah. And it's like, bro, it sounds so beautiful to me. I was like, this is the advantage of free conversation. And then, like, a few days later, he went on CNN and kind of backtracked. Because it's his job. Like, he's going to get fired. And, you know, I don't respect that, but I can understand it. Yeah. And, you know, and CNN tried, like, really baiting him into, like, you know, Rogan said that you don't believe in vaccines. Do you not believe in vaccines? Like, it wasn't that question, but it was like that. Prompting him to
answer a
insult
certain way.
Him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he did okay. But, yeah, the podcast, like, the podcast only got tense for a little bit. Because you could tell Rogan was pissed about the whole CNN thing. And he was like... Yeah. What, like, you know, your employers are lying, right? About me on air. And he's like, what did they lie about? And I was like, they said I took horse tranquilizer. Like,
well, that was true, I thought.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't he take ivermectin?
Yes, but it's not horse tranquilizer. It's been used for like thousands of years for medicinal purposes way before.
Yeah, well, but it also is used.
It's misrepresentation.
I agree it's a misrepresentation, but it's not true, yeah. But you shouldn't just say that.
Wait, what? It's the news. Like,
yeah.
You can't go on a technicality of it's technically true. Like, what? Wait.
Well, sorry. No, I didn't realize it was like a headliner. I thought you meant like.
Oh no! It's full on screen.
Yeah.
Rogan takes horse tranquilizer type shit. And
yeah,
also,
it's like, well, what about the other like tens of thousands of plus of humans that have taken it as medication that doctors have prescribed to them?
I'm pretty sure it wiped out an illness in India.
Yeah.
Ivermectin.
Yeah.
And like millions of people took it.
Yeah.
And also, what you just said about like, it is technically true. That's an excuse you'd use to help a friend out.
Yeah.
This is the news.
Yeah.
Like, what's their incentive for misrepresenting?
So I agree that's a misrepresentation, but it does get very interesting because sometimes there's a difference. Like, okay, like the word confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Right, and so like. To me, though, I always got sort of tripped up on this term because this means that like when you're looking for something, and so that's what you end up seeing, and so your idea appears to get confirmed because you see the answers for. But the thing is, you could be looking for something without it being a problem. Like for example, like you can be looking like let's say I'm pro-choice. And I like want to strengthen my position. I might look up best pro-life arguments. You know what I mean? And I'd look up a specific thing, like, and it's like, well, you're not getting the most objective thing about it. But it's like, but I'm trying to learn about a specific part of it. Like,
yeah. So what's your point?
Well, I feel like sometimes on the news that can. No, I'm not saying with the ivermectin horse tranquilizer example because that's not the point of like saying it, but I forgot what it was. There was another example I heard recently.
Tell me your point though, because I'm missing it.
The point is just that like sometimes I don't know whether like I hear so many times people are like, oh well, why did they emphasize this part of the story so much? And it's like, well, that's the part. Oh no, I remember what it was. It was about did you hear recently in Uganda they made it like illegal to be gay, like punishable by death?
No, but
so like they recently passed like a law that makes it like illegal.
Why
and
not?
So there was a news
story. It makes it illegal to be you.
Yeah. Like, and if you commit an act of homosexuality, you can be punished.
I think it used to be like that in India too.
Really?
Like a few years ago, they changed that.
Yeah.
And then now I think marriage is on the table, but I forget. Like you can be gay now, but you can't get married. I think.
Yeah. Was it punishable by death before?
I don't remember.
I hope it wasn't. But
so. But years ago.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, anyway, what happened is that a news article wrote about this, and they were like, they talked about a story how like finally I don't know whether it was the first case or like, but it recently happened, like someone who got caught committing an act of homosexuality was like punished for some reason or another.
Yeah.
And then someone who I saw explaining this article was like, for the whole article, they mainly talked about the homosexuality, and at the very bottom, they mentioned that the person was the victim was like underage and the perpetrator was above age.
Right.
And they were like, oh yeah, mention the whole thing, but don't mention this part.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, yeah, but that's not what the story isn't trying to say how it's ridiculous how this person got arrested or punished for pedophilia. They're saying it's ridiculous that this person got punished for homosexuality too. Like, what's your opinion on that? Like, is that a misrepresentation? Because I believe the point of that story was to emphasize the fact that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't view that as like a...
Well, it depends on the story, right? So, help me understand this a little more. So,
there was like the headline is probably like...
No, but there was a case where... about the case. There was a case where homosexuality was done.
Yeah. Committed. Yeah.
Someone had gay sex.
Yeah.
But so then did they get arrested for having gay sex or because it was pedophilia?
I don't know, but
that matters,
my assumption
right?
Yeah, that definitely matters.
So
but let's just say they were charged on both.
Okay. So then here's why I think people would be outraged. And I have my own thoughts on it, I guess, but here's a steel manning of that case. A lot of people believe that taking a social justice angle on something instead of actually talking about what seems to be the important point.
Yeah, it's virtue signaling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, look at this, case of homosexuality, and then also like a child was raped, guys. Like, come on, like if you didn't think this would make you look good, would you really be talking about the homosexuality as the more important story? I mean, now I'm not talking. Wait, let's pause. The
steel manning the argument.
So the social justice, and now I do get annoyed when people virtue signal, but I'm seeing your point. It's an interesting point about like what an author values more, and so I don't even think we need to look at it from this story, right? Because we might you might be wrong about the what actually happened, and so. But because what you're saying does happen, where someone's actually just trying to point out.
Yeah, it's like they're like, well, why did they only emphasize that? It's like, well, because that's what I'm interested in, and I wanted to talk about in the story. Was interesting. And it's also like this isn't confirmation bias, and it's not. Well,
I don't know.
It's not hiding the
I'm
truth.
Missing what this has to do with confirmation bias.
Well, because I always thought like confirmation bias. It's like you're looking for certain arguments or like support of certain beliefs, and you end up finding those
certain
more
beliefs
often.
being true. So, for example, if you're searching through like a paper, right, and you ignore half the ideas because they contradict what you're saying.
Well, I'll give you an example where people call this confirmation bias, but I feel like wouldn't. Like if someone looks for like creatine hair loss, and like 99% of studies don't really prove that, but there's one that does, and people hone in on the one that does.
Yeah.
People are like, all right, well, this is just confirmation bias. Like, why aren't you focusing on the other 99, blah, blah, blah. I would be like, well, because I want to hear what the one study that does say, I want to hear what happens in that case. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
no, but see, there's
I don't think that's confirmation bias. It's like, I want to know, like...
I think
I want to know what the person who's going against the grain has to say. Like that's not like.
But I think okay. So there's two things here. I think the people that would be calling you out for confirmation bias there are wrong, and I think the scenario you're referring to would be them. This is confirmation bias when they look at the one study and take that as proof that creatine definitely causes hair fall.
Yeah.
Ignoring the 99 other studies. That would be confirmation. Yeah. So if someone has called you out for that, that's like just wrong.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that does happen. Like I think what you're saying does happen, but confirmation bias also does exist.
Yeah.
Like we've probably done it many times because it's like hard to you need a good feedback mechanism to like okay, you got to try and like separate your own idea of what's right from the truth.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm definitely certain if I didn't go into certain scientific questions with the thing I had already believed, then I probably would have came with less certainty of the conclusion that I feel like.
Yeah, and it's nice to like be like, oh yeah, okay, good. And it does feel worse when you like looking for a side effect. Yeah. And you're like, oh, there is a side effect, but then I'm eating like junk food every day, which is I'm not bothered about the side effects.
Yeah,
that's the funniest thing. I saw this quote or saying it's so funny. It was like, no one says anything when you drink soda all day and eat bags of chips and garbage processed food. But then you start taking protein and everyone's an expert and wants to tell you like
I know
how it works and what's bad for you. What's good for you. You're like.
Yeah, it's like eats pizza. Nobody bats an eye. Protein powder. Oh, you know that causes acne, right? It's like, bro.
It's not as bioavailable.
Yeah, it's like.
And I've done that. I've done the whole it's not as bioavailable thing, but like I'm not. It's just funny. Like, everyone wants to become an expert when it's about like things that are actually trying to benefit.
Yeah.
So it's funny, but. Did you have more on the confirmation bias thing?
Well, really, I actually started the whole thing from the Muslim verse.
Yeah, exactly.
which was the two interesting arguments to me was one, I mean, let's just go into this one first because I'm curious what you think. What do you think? And like, obviously, this is neither of us are Muslim, right?
No.
Okay, me neither. So this is. I don't want to like. Regardless of what Muslim
Indian government, regardless of
what like
I'm not. I promise.
So regardless of what Islam thinks about these things, I'm gonna just talk about these from a moral standpoint, separate from like the religion, because I don't really know about it. But like, what do you think about the idea of like, because one of the things they discussed in it was like women having to cover like pretty much all of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, one thing that was interesting is there's a discrepancy, right? So when she was like, "Oh, why do I have to wear my hijab but you don't have to wear yours?" And he was like, "I do. I'm wearing it right now." But his hijab is just like a robe from his shoulders to his legs, and hers is like a fucking mummy suit. It's like, all right, well, this is different. This is a difference though. Like, so there's that thing. Is like, well, first of all, is the discrepancy fair? And then second of all, what do you just think in general about like wearing, like, what if everyone just had to wear like a full mummy outfit so that they wouldn't, and that way they could never be judged on looks, really? Would that be better or worse? Like, is that idea of Islam?
Yeah, no,
does that have value?
I mean, this has been debated a lot.
Yeah, well, it's super interesting to me because...
Well, you understand the idea, though, right? Of the hijab in the first place.
That it's supposed to stop temptation. And that when you pick a wife, you pick them based on entirely on personality and not looks.
Yeah,
right.
That's part of it. And then it's also like hiding the innocence kind of thing, or like modesty. That's the idea. And so, right, this is more of a sensitive topic. So like, to set that up, we're both idiots.
Yeah. As I said, I don't understand Islam really.
I mean, look, we could look up the arguments on both sides and then just present the cookie cutter, like but that's not fun. It's not interesting. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not scared of going into this, but I'm just saying.
Warning that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't know a crazy amount about Islamic history as well. And, that reading could be important, but I'm not going to not have the conversation.
Yeah.
And do that reading first. I mean, I'll do it later, is the point. And also, someone might have an argument that trumps everything we say.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Like, okay, send me an email. I'll link it.
Comment.
Comment. Well, be nice. Or don't. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not reading them. No one's watching.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, Mom. No. God, I'm gonna go into Islamic women issues when my mom's watching. Anyway, the hijab. Now, right off the bat, I don't care about whether something is morally right or wrong. Regardless, I don't think anyone should be forced to wear a hijab, regardless of whether or not it reduces temptation or whatever.
Let's say let's just question right now, would it be societally beneficial?
Like, do I think slutty clothes in public are beneficial to society?
Or net negative? Yeah.
I think they're an extremely net negative.
Extremely, really?
I don't think they do anything positive. Other than, like, okay, fine. I think they're a net negative. How about that?
Okay.
But I think and fine, there's conversation. But but this is just an example. Okay. The point is, I would still fight very hard against anyone saying they shouldn't be allowed. Yeah. So, I think freedom there is very important, and, a woman should be allowed to choose to wear the hijab regardless. Now, culturally, should it be enforced, like socially enforced? Where the idea being, should this be something that the culture expects and, wants? And it's tough. It's tough because I think, one, it comes down to what you believe in terms of what makes a person important, right? Like, how important are looks? Yeah. How important are Is it to shield looks? The discrepancy between men and women, we can get into that. So
Yeah.
that's more interesting. An idea of why that would exist. I mean, there's a differential, amount of women that get assaulted sexually by men.
Yeah.
And so that's an easy place to point to for that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty evidential. That's a word, right?
I think so.
Okay. I think it's pretty evident, self-evident, that
evidential
men are much more likely to just have an immediate reaction to the visual of a woman than the other way around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, that alone is pretty much enough to.
It's just more pervasive for some reason. I don't know
why.
Or sorry, not pervasive, and maybe it's a cultural thing, but I don't know. I think I don't know. It's hard to think about. Like, because I wanna link it back to differences between men and women, but I don't know why aggression would lead to more fervorous, like more sexual thoughts. I don't know why, and that's like a big difference between men and women. Yeah. But aside from that, there are studies that show that it doesn't really matter too much about what a woman wears in terms of how likely she's to get, hit on or, sexually assaulted. And so that does point to the idea that a hijab isn't really going to do anything there.
Yeah, the question of whether it's empirically even effective is its own question that needs to be researched.
But let's say it isn't, right? The counter argument there would be, I think we can establish that men have these thoughts more than women. So to just shield the women from those thoughts occurring, that would be a reason. Now again, I think the women should choose, but we're talking about whether or not that should be a social norm that we uphold in society. That is a possible reason why, because we see the fact that men have this tendency more, and they do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but I think people are scared to figure that out.
Yeah.
But
it's just hormonal, I think.
I was just gonna say people just go with testosterone, bro. The difference is not that.
Well, not just testosterone. I mean, there's
what
tons of hormone. Okay. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, we're going into both sides.
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever the difference is, right? It's gotta be some combination of cultural and
genetic.
Yeah. Oh, good job, guys! You figured
solved
it out.
the argument.
Figured it out.
Yeah. No, that was psychology. That was the intro to psych class.
Yeah.
They were like, guys, I have the answer. It's genetics plus environment. It's like, oh my god, they got it.
Quora solved.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like
Reddit responses.
What is 24 divided by 4? 24 by 4 with the dash. Thanks, bro. Thanks. Real help there. Anyway, but the reason that's relevant is because we're saying that there is that difference, and the reasoning doesn't really matter here. I mean, maybe it could, but let's just assume that we don't know, because we don't really. Now, is that shielding of women something that we would want to socially enforce? Like, enforce is just the wrong word, but socially encourage, fine.
Yeah.
Socially encourage. And I think you could make a pretty compelling argument for it, man. I mean, I don't know what you would use to protest it. Like, don't say women should be able to do whatever they want, because yes, they can.
Yeah.
And that's the scenario we're talking about here. Women can do whatever they want. They can wear whatever they want. Socially encouraged to, like, for example, we're all socially encouraged to do certain things. Like, socially encouraged to wear socks and shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's not to that level, but
can I go to class barefoot? Yes.
Yeah, but it's just like people are gonna look at you weird, and it's like maybe you're okay with that, and you want to that kind of level, and there's a clear reason that we're talking about, which is men are disgusting sometimes.
Yeah.
So that I think I don't know if I have much more to say on that.
Yeah. Well, do you think the world would be a better place? Let's remove the men and women part from the discussion. Just would it be better if people couldn't be judged by looks and could only be judged by character?
I don't know what better would look like.
Okay, fine. What would society look like if that could happen?
It's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Very interesting story that could come out of that too.
Because I mean, it's interesting because a lot of what I'm interested in is how can you, like, for example, marketing is almost entirely like, how can you, right, like they say don't judge a book by its cover, but marketing is like, how can you draft a cover that will get the most amount of sales? So then how it looks matters. So
well, it doesn't, the argument is it doesn't matter in any real sense.
Yeah.
Because you get the book that's shiny, but then the inside's garbage.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a lesson than saying people don't go for the book that
It's not like,
it's saying don't.
You shouldn't. Yeah.
It's warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but like let's say every book had the same
I think
cover. Would that be better?
Okay, but what's the parameters here? Like, can we does someone's personality have a look to it? Is that what you're saying? Like, we look like what we are inside?
No, like, you can see, let's say everyone had the same exact face. Well, this is hard. Hard. Logistically, and the thing is, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Of course, yeah. Because you hide parts of yourself.
Yeah.
We all hide parts of ourselves.
Yeah, so let's say everyone...
You can change your appearance, too.
Everyone was wearing, like, hijab, like mummy style hijab. Okay. Let's say. So, I mean, I guess you could still see people's facial expressions to a degree, but not, like, everything. And you could see the color of their skin.
But do you ever take it off?
But that's... And you could only take it off for your significant other after you got
married.
Then,
it happens, right?
Yeah, but only between two married people.
But that's a different... See, that's a less interesting question.
Because fine. Then you can never take it off.
Okay. Because
or, like, you could take it off, but you could never be seen without it on. Let's say.
No, but what does that mean? Like, is someone enforcing this, or just? Well, then that's terrible.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we have to think about a really hypothetical situation where no one wants. Like, we don't. There just are no faces.
No, yeah. I'm just saying. Like, what if everyone was just born in a mummy outfit?
Yes.
Never got taken.
There you go. Yeah. That's a different. Because there's a choice there. Yeah. Right? Like you can't. You just there's
can't limit that choice. Yeah.
And so I think so, man.
You think what? It would be better?
I think so. Yeah. Because you also can't say how it would work because we are wired in a way that attraction... Because attraction's kind of based on biological preference and selection, right? Yeah. Like you're trying to get the best genetics to procreate. Yeah. And so when that goes out the window, it's like... let's just say that we're not considering that. Like there's other markers. Like, your intelligence and your personality is the marker now that you want to pass on to your children. Right? Yeah. That becomes the marker. Yeah. And so that still leaves room for manipulation and all that stuff. You outwardly express something that you're not inside. Yeah.
I bet, like, wearing stuff as status would be, like, a much bigger thing, like a necklace or, like, a watch, etc.
But I thought we wouldn't have that in the scenario because then it's kind of like
then everyone's literally the uniform.
You just move from the looks to that. I think it's more interesting like how
what if everyone had to be equalized physically yeah well
but it is kind of unfair because some people are like physically gifted rather than intellectually gifted. But I think you can work on both so
maybe
it would be as unfair. I think
this is different, but what would it be? Would it be better if you could never see your own reflection? Or let me just ask, if you could never see your own reflection, do you think all physical insecurities would greatly be diminished?
Not all, but
would they be diminished?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Would that be overall better?
Yeah.
Should we get rid of mirrors?
Should we get rid of alcohol?
I think we should limit it. I don't think we should get rid of it, but I think we should control it more.
So, limit mirrors?
Yeah, tax on mirrors. Nope, you're gonna make yourself insecure. You can't buy this.
It's not a resource you can control because, like, you can see your reflection in water.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't really work. But I mean, even limiting alcohol is different, right? Because you're okay. Maybe we can do something interesting here because it's like, let's think about this. So the idea behind limiting alcohol is just to make it harder to drink it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the nudge. I'm of the right. That's the book I'm reading. I'm in nudge. So
yeah.
Liberal paternalism.
So
meaning
a hypothetical
always allow the option, but make it
yeah
less of the default, not as easy to acquire.
Yeah.
More out of the way.
Yeah.
But always an option.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just go science fiction here.
Yep.
You can measure your level of social anxiety. And, we tell everyone, the more you look at your physical appearance and the more you look in the mirror, your anxiety score is going to go up because that's just how, just what happens. And so that way we nudge people to look at the mirror less because you're going to get measured on your social anxiety and that's your social anxiety tax.
Yeah.
And now that we've set that up, it's completely impossible, but would that make things better? Assuming we're not counting social anxiety from other ways. Just would nudging people to care less about how they look make a better world? Yes.
I think it would.
Yeah, I think so intuitively that makes sense.
I think people would be more open and honest.
Yeah, and less afraid.
Yeah.
Too, right? Like you'd only
and say the things that they believe to be true more often.
How do you think that would happen from not looking in the mirror?
Well, because they don't have any if you have no self-confidence, even when you think you're right about something.
I think your lack of self-confidence can come from other places.
That's true, but it definitely I think
more people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
or even think about all the people with incredible ideas who are probably too scared to record their face and post it online because they're like, oh, I look ugly in this.
They could post no face cam. I don't think the reason is because
that's true.
Yeah, I think they still want to.
That's true.
Yeah, but I think you're right that more people would end up doing that.
Yeah,
more people would end up feeling confident in themselves, which is a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just game. I have thought about that for a while because every time I see, every time I see someone else looking in the mirror and they have a new pimple or something,
if we ever,
and
sorry, go ahead.
And they see it and they're like, oh my god, now I have to go to this job interview, and I'm like, imagine there just wasn't a mirror right there, before, imagine that day before they went to school or the job interview, the mirror was just broken.
Yeah.
No,
it's funny. I went to comb my hair before the podcast.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it right? Because it's too long right now.
Yeah.
And then I just remembered I'm ugly anyway. So.
Bro, can I tell you how to save? I think I told you about this. Remember when I shaved my hair and I fucked it up and I had the rectangle?
Yeah.
And I was wearing a hat for a while.
Yeah.
And I was in the gym one time and it was I was trying to do overhead press and the brim of the hat was getting in the way and I'm like, fuck.
Oh yeah.
So I took it off.
Yeah.
And no one, and I was like, bro, I'm still invisible. Still no one gives a shit about me. Oh my god,
today, social anxiety during the backwards walking was a little higher.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, no one cares. What do you?
Yeah.
Why are you? But it was still there. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just gave no context.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think if we ever do book club version 2. Well, we have to finish the local therapy part.
The postscript.
But I think we should read Brave New World.
What's
by
that?
Aldous Huxley. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like an extension of these thought experiments that we've had. it's a world. It's just a different society with a few different rules, and it's very hedonist. It's one of the great works of literature, and it's very philosophical in nature. And we should read it.
I'm down. Yeah, let's do it.
Because I haven't read it yet, and I plan to for a long time.
And it's gonna be one of those that are like the hard hitting.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd rather read it with people because out of the four of us, I think I am the most like literature inclined.
Yeah, I agree.
To like break down literature because I have no life.
Yeah.
And like stories are easier for me to break down. And the reason why I value doing it with you guys is because like if something doesn't make sense, like you say it.
Yeah.
And so when for example, like Cooper said, the wife thing in Man's Search for Meaning, context, Viktor Frankl, while in the concentration camps, uses his wife as comfort, and it was kind of contradictory in Cooper's opinion, a friend of ours in the book club, to one of his ideas, and I didn't see that contradiction at all. But I didn't go, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like it made me think about it and try and like, break down my perspective and actually, give that. And so the fact that all of you say this doesn't make sense makes me think, does it actually not make sense? Or is there a better way to say it? Or is there something else here that is the actual idea that I haven't got to yet? And so it's just a lot better than just reading it myself and, having just my idea of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be really useful. I don't know. Like, we're kind of, like, swamped right now, but I don't know when.
Yeah.
But
no, I know.
There will be some vacation sometime.
Yeah.
And so it would be cool.
Yeah.
We were on the...
We're on the Muslim thing. Yeah. We don't have to go. Another idea I had is I could just bullet like list the other things I was all the way back to the beginning of the discussion, the other things that I was gonna do before I die or whatever.
Oh no, I have all those. Like I have those, but I just want like the Muslim thing. Are you done with that?
Yeah. We could keep talking about it, but I feel.
Do you have anything else?
No. I wasn't planning on going. Well, I mean, the other part of it was the.
Yeah, I want to know.
Okay, fine. We can go into this.
Yeah.
So the other part, I mean, we've talked about this, but the question is like, can you
not on camera, bro?
Yeah. Oh. The question is, can you ever justify? Okay, first of all, let me just be clear about my beliefs. I don't give a shit about being gay. Like, I don't care. Or I care as much as I care about people being straight. So I'm for gay marriage. I'm for straight marriage. And overall, when it comes to incest, I'm a little bit more questionable in my position because, well, let's get into the justifications. So, like, this happened on the thing because they were like, well, what is wrong with... It's like, what is wrong with, like, they were like, what's wrong? What do you have wrong with gay people? It's two consenting adults who want to do whatever they want to do. And he was like, what do you have wrong with incest? It's two consenting adults who do whatever, right? Yeah, and they're like, that's not the same. And then
why is it not the same?
And they're like, because, like, blah, blah, blah. And then the person's like, oh, we're not going to continue with this. Next thing. And I'm like, how can you lead this discussion and prevent this from happening? But like, for me, as someone who firmly stands against homophobia, and I'm like I'm physically angered when people like don't dislike dislike homophobia. Sorry.
Wait, what?
Dislike homosexuals.
Okay.
Why? Because because I take the same belief as them, at least in that section where it's like, why are you trying to prevent two consensual adults from doing what they want to do?
Sure, but do you get angry when people are...
No, sorry. If they dislike it, I mean, I wish they didn't dislike it, but I don't...
No, I don't think it's wrong to get mad. I'd get mad too, but I'm just thinking...
I do get angered when they dislike
let's say I just hate...
I do get angered when they dislike it, but I get more angered if like they like support Uganda's policy of killing people who are gay. Yeah, It's not that extreme, probably, but
yeah,
I think that is the maximum punishment you could get from it.
Yeah.
And like, but then I try to put myself in their shoes for a second, and I'm like, all right, well, what do you have that's actually like? I'm like, what's your problem with homosexuality? Like, what, that you think it's gross, or that you think it's perverse? Like, that's really the main arguments. That it's perverse, gross, weird, not natural. And once again, I'm stuck at, this is like the atheist's nightmare, because I have no moral objectivity that, like, someone, like the guy who's in Islam, he can say incest is wrong because he can say God said so, and I can't because I'm not religious. And so all the same problems homophobes have with gay people, I have with incest. Like, I think incest is, or like intuitively, I think incest is wrong. Why? Because it's perverse, weird, and gross. They think that about gay people. It's two consenting adults. And there's only two really arguments I've seen made, and both of them are terrible. One is that, there's one main argument that's made. It's that, like, well, when two people from the same family have a kid, they are much more likely to have, like, a kid with, like, a genetic problem. This is a terrible argument for two reasons. Because one, it pretty much promotes eugenics. Because should a woman who's 35 not have a kid and only cap it at 30, because a woman, as they get older, are much more likely to have a birth defect? No. And same with people who are lower intelligence. They shouldn't not be able to have kids because their kid will be less intelligent. And so I can't believe even...
Is incest illegal?
I think it's legal in only a couple states. Here. Should I check?
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah. Okay, I'll check. But the other problem I have with the argument is that, like, all right, fine. So if it was two people who had incest and it was like they weren't from the same family, or sorry, they were from the same family because it's incest, but they didn't. But like they were both sterile, so they couldn't have kids. It would be impossible. Then would you be okay with it? And it's like, well, still no. Like, I know you're not going to say yes to that, so that's not the reason. Like,
right? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, though. I am inclined, once we set this up, to table this discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to do...
Oh, it's actually more legal than I thought.
Yeah.
But it definitely is illegal in the majority of spots.
Yeah, but I expect...
What does legal under certain circumstances mean? Legal sometimes.
According to the lunar calendar.
Yeah, like...
No, but I did expect it to be legal in more
than just a few states. Yeah, it's probably like 20 states.
Just understanding
10
America.
to 20 states.
Yeah. No, but the reason I'm saying table this is because I don't remember when we talked about this last, if we got anywhere. Doesn't seem like we would.
I remember where you got is that your best argument, I think overall it didn't really get us anywhere, because your best argument was that there's a different element of perversion when it's like inner family than when it's just between two people who happen to be the same sex.
Yeah. But
again, I feel like that really is just the same as saying I don't like it, therefore it's wrong. Because why can you say that it's perverse, but it's like, what's the innate perversion in it? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think you can say something is innate to everyone.
Yeah,
without it.
yeah.
I mean,
So
like,
then,
what does that even mean?
And like, then also, again, people will try to use the unnatural argument with
unnatural doesn't make any sense, because it's like, what isn't? Like, what does that mean?
Well, but my point is, you'll see people try to use that for homosexuality.
Okay, yeah, so I want to make a distinction
but
there.
Both don't work.
So there's a cool distinction there. Not a cool one. I don't know why I said cool there. With homosexuality, right? If we look at it from the religious perspective, they consider homosexuals to be wrong. Like, homosexuality as a concept,
sin,
like,
yeah.
But to be homosexual is wrong.
Well, is that true, or is it to act on? Well, I don't know if the distinction matters here, but I think a lot of Christians...
I was gonna say that. So you have the same perspective on incest that you do, that they have, that most rational religious people have on homosexuality, which is as long as you keep it in check.
Oh yeah.
It's it's
yeah.
fine. Like you should. The idea is you should keep it in check.
Yeah.
But
the sin is the act, not the thought. In this case.
Well, they're sinful thoughts too.
Yeah, but you don't commit the sin unless you actually do some gay shit.
Yeah. No, of course. Right. But I do think there is a baked in disdain for homosexuals. I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Because a religious corpus isn't obvious, and how people interpret it is
That's what I've heard. The main thing from both.
Yeah, I've heard Ben Shapiro say that. Whereas, and he's a pretty rational.
Yeah.
I mean, bro goes crazy sometimes, but he's a pretty rational religious person, and his thing is like, you shouldn't act on it because it's a sin. But I do think a lot of people just think homosexuals are a problem, like they shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Whereas it's hard, like with incest, it's what is like you aren't incestuous, are you? Like you're not I think I don't know. Thing is that it's not even a thing in culture, so you can't really tell how it interacts. Like
I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, because it's like because I would assume they want to have sex with other people too, or they would be open.
Yeah, do they only want to have sex with family members? Like
the fact that we've gotten here is like.
But it's logically it's like the one thing that I can't reconcile because I either have to say it's completely okay, or I have to say that homosexuality is wrong.
Well,
and I'm definitely not willing to say that. So I'm literally like ideologically forced, like logically I'm forced to say that incest is 100% okay.
But you're not.
But I don't intuitively feel that.
You're not.
But maybe that's just maybe my intuitions are just
this
off.
Is why I'm saying
the same way that I think people's intuitions about homosexuality being wrong are off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I 100% get what you're saying. And I do have a disdain for incest. And, I would like to figure out if I can keep it, because I'd like to.
But can you,
Well, so I'm saying...
Without being logically inconsistent.
So I'm saying we've set up this discussion well. We can hear this back when we want to actually dive into it. But I think it would take a lot longer, and then I want to give it today.
Yeah,
and
fair.
And I'd like to do a little more research on a few things. Like, for example, the fact that it is legal in the States in a lot of places, it changes the conversation, right, between the states that it is and isn't. Mm-hmm. Because if it's
we gotta look up what's up in the States where it's legal under certain circumstances.
Yeah, what does that mean, bro? Like, is it
like if y'all are really tight, then it's okay. But like if you guys are only kind of like friends, if you're step family, then you're good. Yeah. Like good.
Well, no, step family should definitely be. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a whole other thing. Anyway, but the point is like, then we get into this conversation of should it be socially enforced?
Yeah.
And then, but again, you could say, should homosexuality be socially, disavowed? But then you can make the distinction there, I think, right, with the offspring argument. That's where it can come in.
What offspring?
So the effective or offspring to socially discourage incest.
I don't think it's I don't think population like
What?
I don't necessarily think that's a problem, to be honest.
No, but wait. What do you mean?
Well, let's finish. Let you finish your point.
Sure, I'm saying socially discourage incest.
Oh. I thought you meant being gay.
No. I think this is the distinction, right? Because being gay doesn't lead to
although someone in the Muslim debate though brought up that I don't know if this is true, but let's say this was true. I wonder how you react. Apparently, being homosexual leads, or at least he said. Again, I have no idea the truth of this. He was like, "There's been more diseases that have came from it than other." Like, let's say that spreads more sexually transmitted diseases. Should it be
I guess
socially
the AIDS
discouraged?
thing was like that.
Yeah, and I think they said a different one. I mean, again, I don't know if it's true. If that was true, would you say we should socially discourage it? I still don't know. Like,
But see, there's ways.
I don't know if that
to
means we
avoid
should
it.
socially discourage incest, and I don't think necessarily it means we should socially encourage mothers to have kids before, like when at their youngest years, because that's the least amount of birth defects. Like,
Well,
there's a lot of things where I'm like,
like how much? What are the chances of birth defect?
I think between like by the time they're 35, it's like at least double or triple. But let me look it up.
But compared to incest, I mean.
All right, fine. I'll look up incest first.
Bro's search history is gonna be all kinds of fucked up. No, I mean,
whatever. I can't. I'm not gonna find this in that. Socially
discouraging incest because of a reason that we can't control, which is defective births, versus sexually transmitted diseases, which we can do something about. You see the difference? It's an argument. I'm not saying it's a very strong argument, but it's just what I can come up with right now.
I see, but I kind of disagree because...
Sure. I disagree too.
Like, there are people who have like a higher likelihood of passing on like cancer to their kids. Should we discourage them from having kids? No.
I think you can make an argument that you should.
That's kind of fucked, I feel like.
Of course it is, but you can make... okay.
You can make an argument. Yes.
Okay.
You can make an argument.
Is it fucked or not? Again, I'm not saying what I believe here. I'm making an argument. Like, it's devil's advocate. Would you say it's not fucked to... let's say if you knew your kid would have cancer. Is it fucked to have the kid? Now... take a few steps back from that, the chances of having a cancer are fucked. I think you can make the argument that it's fucked.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the morality of having children, actually, I've always thought was like an interesting thing because they can never consent to that. So you can never, it's almost like you can never say, like when people are
that's interesting.
Like, is it ever moral to have a child? Like, I feel like the answer to that is, like, on a technicality, like, no. Especially if you don't need to. Like,
no. Wait. But, like,
yeah,
kids don't consent to most of the things the parents make them do. So you're saying all that's immoral?
I'm saying that if a kid, like, if I went to my parents and I was, like, pissed off, I was like, why did you bring me into this world? I hate everything.
Right.
That's something that could happen to any kid.
Sure.
And the parents brought them in without asking them first.
Yeah, a parent picks up a child. He didn't ask him.
Yeah.
You don't have a moral problem with that.
Yeah. But, I don't know how I feel.
Well, cognitive dissonance is what I've given you here.
Yes, but it's just a thing where you can't, since one party can't even consent until it's too late.
We can link this back to our
it's like, can you even have a morality surrounding that?
I think this question comes to, is life moral?
Yeah.
And is life morally good? And is life morally something that we would want? And I'm not willing to say that it depends. Because like we talked about earlier, life is suffering.
Yeah.
But you can make it worth it.
Yeah.
And so I think giving every child that opportunity is moral.
Yeah. Well, my argument is that they can opt out at any time.
Oh my God.
By killing themselves. So it's
it's
not absolute consent. Like if you brought them in and they couldn't kill themselves, then I think it would actually be unfair.
I hate that I feel the need to put a trigger warning. Because some people do actually get from mention of suicide. But that makes sense.
Because yeah.
But again, I think suicide is immoral.
To who?
You haven't asked that question for any other statement of this is immoral.
Well,
immoral in general. Immoral as an act. It's wrong, is what I'm saying. Because I think life is right.
Yeah.
I think you can always make things better.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it's not your fault. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening to you. Maybe some of it's your fault. Maybe none of it's your fault. But the point is, it's your responsibility. All of it.
Yeah.
And so, I think suicide is wrong. But I am against decriminalizing it. Because it's kind of whack to me.
Wait, against... So you're for criminalizing it?
Sorry, against criminalizing it. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, I think when it's said that it's illegal, I don't think it's like you get arrested for it. I think it's more like you are sent to rehab centers if they found that you attempted this.
Yeah. But like...
Which I think is good.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting idea of is life moral, because it kind of connects to what does not life mean? Like what is the other side? What is the other thing?
Yeah.
Because without having that knowledge, it's hard to really say, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, maybe you could say that's too relativistic, and you're saying, well, if that was better, then this is bad. I mean, yeah, I think that works. I think life is moral regardless.
Yeah, I
think life is worth it regardless.
Yeah, I think I agree. But
Bennett.
Well, should you have 1 trillion kids then to maximize your morality?
Min-max the morality. Yeah. No, I because I don't think having more kids than you can provide for and care for and give.
So if you can't provide for a kid, should you not have one? See, this is another moral question when it comes to having kids, and it's like, let's say you're in poverty and you can't really handle having kids, but you decide to because you want.
But you can give them.
Is that selfish?
You can give them the attention that they need, right? Like you can try to do the best you can, and saying having 1 trillion kids, like no one can handle that.
Yeah.
Like
okay. Fine.
But 10 kids.
Should you have as many? Should you have as many as you can?
10 kids makes it more interesting. Elon Musk would say yes.
Really?
Well,
bro only has.
Trying to fucking have.
How many does he have right now?
He's trying to have more.
He's like on Twitter. He's like, any volunteers? Like,
wait, you don't know this?
Like, no, I didn't know.
He's fully like against the whole population collapse thing, and that's why he's like had a lot of kids. And
how many kids does he have?
I don't know exactly, but I think he wants to have more too. So it's like, I mean, oh wait, Cooper responded about the science thing. I told him about the fact that like my friend told me I was wrong about what I said about science not needing as much critical thinking or it not being central to it, and that's why the Indian systems are set up that way.
Yeah, because
they value science more. But yeah, he responded about that. But how many kids does Elon? Well, he has the fucking plane. The kid that's named after
AXC, yeah.
I think it's called Ash. I think his name is like Ash.
Yeah, but it has numbers in it, so that doesn't make any fucking
sense. It
sense.
has numbers in it.
Bro, well, it is in the name.
You misgendered it.
No, the name.
Oh, okay. 11, bro. That's a lot.
That is a lot of kids.
That's a lot. He does have the resources.
He can, he could have 1 trillion.
But he can't give them, like, the attention that, I don't know if he could have 1 trillion. Like, isn't the
he could have,
isn't the average cost of a child $1 million?
Like well, over the lifetime of a child, though.
Yeah, so 1 trillion million. He doesn't have $1 trillion million dollars.
but by the end of his life, maybe. No, he won't.
1 trillion million.
No, he won't.
He won't even have close to that. He won't even have 1 trillion.
Wait, is a trillion million the same thing as a million trillion? It's the same
thing.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. You just multiply.
Yeah, so if he's only at like 100 billion,
yeah,
couple
there's
hundred
no
billion.
way.
Yeah,
He's not even getting to a trillion.
Yeah, he won't even be at like 1 trillion, so to
Yeah,
get to
exactly.
a million trillion.
That's
yeah,
impossible. That's unless the concept of money changes.
Unless inflation just
inflation just
unless there's like some crazy supply chain issues.
You think you could get a trillion, million trillion of any currency? Isn't that an interesting question?
I think he probably could. I mean, I think some currencies are inflated so bad that they
Not
drop
like
the last
fake currency.
zeros.
Currencies that are actually used in countries.
No, yeah, there are currencies used in countries where they drop the last 3 zeros.
What do you mean?
So like, the cheapest thing is like $1,000. That's the equivalent of like $1.
Yeah.
Or like I think I was in Vietnam when I encountered that. It was like, I don't know if it was.
Yeah, the inflation there goes nuts sometimes.
Whatever it is,
Vietnam.
Yeah, it's like, bro, just fucking factory reset. Like, just go back to like.
They can't declare bankruptcy.
Just declare that
the World Bank.
Just declare that the dollar is now going to be called a penny, and that on $100 bill is now going to be called a $1 bill.
Yeah, and then the trade market comes in like, your money doesn't make any sense, so we're just not going to trade with you because we don't know what this is worth in your country.
Yeah,
like. This is what globalization does.
I know. It's so beautiful, though. It's so beautiful.
For the
I
rich
can hire
countries,
these. No, well, okay, well, just for the rich countries.
Yes.
Okay, well, what about the dude who's like I paid him to design my logo?
It's more beneficial.
Oh yeah. But is it also better for the poor countries?
It's harder to say. It's harder to say.
Okay, so what about this guy? I'm working with a Iranian guy right now. He was the guy who's working on my logo.
Yeah.
And I paid him 120 overall.
Are you gonna tell us how you scammed an Iranian guy?
No, I didn't scam him.
Cool.
I asked him what his budget is. He was like 80 to 150. And I'm paying him 120 for this logo.
Yeah.
And like he's been doing a great job. He's been doing a really good job so far. He does what I ask. He's very professional.
Yeah.
And I like 120. I mean, actually, that doesn't even sound cheap. Although I will say, for what he's doing, like he's hopped on like multiple hour-plus long calls with me. Like for what he's doing, that is cheap.
Right.
And he described to me that the average salary in Iran is $100 a month.
Yeah.
So like, well, I thought I was underpaying this guy. Like, bro is getting like a whole month's salary in like a day.
I'm feeling cold. Yeah. Well, again,
it's a really weird
situation. First of all, right? But
also the obvious problem is that I have way more negotiating power. That's the obvious problem.
And that's also an interesting question about like how much a country would develop if it was just left like to itself, right? I mean, I think you could say the answer is not much because globalization has led to development, but then you also have a lot of colonization that you're not.
That's a problem.
Right. So it's like, do you say globalization without colonization, or?
I mean, economic globalization, just like
no, I know,
the freedom to digitally.
But
be in
is
contact.
The reason why there's differential wealth in countries right
ultimately now due to the colonization?
Is it? Yeah. Is it like? And is the fact that it's getting?
Well, are there countries that are poor that hadn't been colonized? Sure. Has any country really not been colonized?
I don't know. It's hard. Like, you'd have to do the research.
Yeah.
Right. But I think intuitively it's like, you know, if something went wrong that was just like internal, you could fix it and move on.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, maybe that's not true in all cases, but point is, like, of course globalization is helpful for countries, but I feel like there is an element of like dependence that could come with that, where it's like, you know, who's gonna say no to the States? It's like, very few countries have that kind of power.
Yeah.
And so it's really up to the States about how much they allow these countries to grow. And I think free market is good. I think it's good for the world. But it's just, it's like hard to say why the world is in the state that it's in already. and then to see
it's kind of like
some on people on top and some on the bottom, and it's like, how did this happen exactly?
Yeah, it's like kind of the whole problem with race in this country, which is like, it's like, all right, well, even if now everyone has the same opportunity, did we really all have the same like starting place?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, some people would argue there isn't even the same opportunity.
Yeah.
My problem comes in when people are trying to not make that the goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, this is not going to work because you're just going to piss people off.
Should there be anything done to reverse what's been done?
Well, it's hard to, first of all, it's hard to calculate that.
It's impossible to calculate.
Yeah. Right. And then I think that also like takes away from the goal. Like I don't want to get too far deep into affirmative action and stuff here, but there is an argument that affirmative action lets the government not focus on the actual problem, which is the neighborhoods and communities that are disaffected, where kids don't get proper education at the lowest levels. Like, why would affirmative action be needed if all kids were on the same playing field from the beginning? And why is that impossible? It's not. And affirmative action is a crutch. Like, it's not.
What about just reparations? Like, what about just like in Germany?
Affirmative action is a form of reparation.
Okay, fine, but what about just like direct like money given to?
Who's giving the money?
From
you can't force people to.
Well, that's what they do in Germany.
Yeah, I know, but freedom is a big thing in America, and if you don't want to, if you're not trying to piss people off, then.
Well, no, I also find it weird
because it's like what did you do to black people?
Well, most of the people in Germany now didn't do anything to Jewish people.
Yeah, but I'm not claiming Germany is doing it the right way.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
What did you do to black people?
I didn't do anything.
Okay, so why should you pay tax for?
Because I'm a citizen of the country.
No, not tax. Why should your tax dollar go towards something you didn't contribute to?
Because I'm a citizen of the country, and I'm deciding. If I decide to be a citizen of the country, I decide to help the country fix the problems that it's made in the past, and I can choose to not be a citizen if I want.
Well, that's really hard, first of all, but
that's true.
But the idea of like tax is that you pool the money so that it goes to public services that everyone shares in.
In general.
Yeah. Yeah. In general, yeah. I mean, are there?
I'm not saying I want to do that, but
yeah, are there comparisons to reparations that already happen, like tax dollars that go to specific people? I guess you could say like.
Well, yeah, Germany.
To medical, not Germany. Here, you have to talk about here. They're different cultures, bro. Because understand something, like the idea of reparations piss a lot of people off here, and the reason why that actually matters, and you can't just say, yeah, well, too bad. Be angry. It's like, no, you might cause a riot, and then someone might die because you were like, oh, I'm not going to negotiate or talk to anyone.
No, well, I don't think that's what we should do.
Yeah, I know, but it's a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, is there anything like reparations where the tax dollar goes to a specific group only that like the rest can't use?
Well,
I was going to say medical
lower income groups. Disabled people.
Lower income groups, though, there's no like anyone can be a lower income group.
Disabled people.
That disabled people is what I was gonna.
Yeah.
But anyone can become disabled. And anyone could be. Well, I guess you could say anyone could be born black too, though.
Yeah, but also there are some disabilities that you can't acquire.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like you can't.
Well, I was gonna say anyone could.
You can't become Down syndromatic.
Yeah, but I was gonna say anyone could be born Down syndromatic.
Yeah, but anyone could be born black. Yeah, but they would be saying, well,
there's no inherent disadvantage to being black.
Well, there's that, but there's also like, well, even when you even out why is that black person getting it when they weren't a slave? Like,
well, the argument would be that. You know, that burden's been passed down.
Yeah.
The systems.
Yeah.
But I'd argue the reason why we give help to disabled people isn't because society is set up to oppress them, even if it might be. We give it to them because they don't have the appropriate tools.
Yeah.
To work through that. They are like physically or intellectually hindered.
Yeah.
Black people don't have a disadvantage in terms of IQ, even though some crazy people
in this
believe that.
Well, I think in this instance we just bring up John Rawls' like veil of ignorance, you know?
I will just say it.
That everyone is like, in assuming you didn't know which position you would be born into, you would have to make it so you could be okay being anything.
Right.
Which honestly, I actually question the validity of that entirely, because it's like, how could you ever equalize like someone who's born extremely intelligent and someone who's not? Like, how could I could not be Oppenheimer. Why should I get paid the same amount? Like, why should I want to be?
Yeah, I don't think that's what it means, though.
Well, what does it mean then?
I think you're interpreting it in a way that.
Well, not that everyone should be paid, but that I guess
it's not about equity.
Yeah,
it's talking about equality of opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So
anyone has the opportunity. Do they have the tools to get that opportunity? Yeah. I mean, maybe not. Some people. That's why we get into the same conversation. That's why we give them aid.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think race falls under equality of opportunity not being possible for them, because it is a goal that we can get to. But it's a tough conversation, and again, there's many arguments against all the things we said on both sides. Yeah. So don't get mad.
Yeah, I think the key to me, the key is just do the thing that helps poor people, and then you help black people by helping poor people.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the whole thing.
And then you also don't get white people mad.
Eliminate poor neighborhoods. That should be the focus. Yeah. Why are we focused on...
And I think it should be also in terms of like reparations, I don't agree with just give people money who don't have.
Definitely not.
It's like...
Definitely not.
It should be like...
Feed a fish, feed a man, fish.
Teach a man to fish.
Fish.
Yeah.
Fish.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think it needs to be done... Right, like 80% of lottery winners lose it all. It's like, how much money do you want to give these people? A couple $1,000s? Like, it's not going to do this. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be as life-changing as millions, and that's how much 80% of people lose.
Yeah. What do you think about universal basic income?
I think it's pretty much going to be a necessity, and I like the idea that with a universal basic income, there becomes, like, there's this whole part of capitalism, right, where it's like, well, everything's just because everything is voluntary. And I've always thought, well, if the person's not going to be able to eat if they don't take this job, that's not exactly voluntary. And I think having UBI makes capitalism just. Like, entirely just. In general.
No, I get that.
And I think with as much automation as we're gonna have,
exactly,
it's probably gonna be where we head towards.
Yeah,
and I think it's practical.
I mean, I do err on the side of it freeing you up to pursue something you actually might have value with. Yeah, and some people definitely will just use it on hedonistic bullshit, but they were gonna do it anyway.
Yeah,
and I think it will help more people because. Once the ball starts rolling, it starts rolling faster and faster.
Yeah.
So all they need to do is take one step towards using that $1,000, $2,000 for something, productive for themselves, and then it's just gonna get better and better and better.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, by the way. That like opportunities just create exponentially more opportunities.
Bro, it's the whole entire fucking like belief breaking concept for me of like just the pie getting bigger for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that...
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that when you get someone better at something that you...
lose something.
Yeah.
There is enough to eat.
Yeah.
There are enough ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing concept.
It's crazy. I mean, it just shatters... It, like... viewing stuff that way instead of viewing it just like completely shatters
it gets hard
the
for me
intuition. Yeah, I know, because it goes against my intuition. Like, I feel like it feels obvious to me that if I'm like the best artist and then I train someone to be as good as me, that I'm gonna get less.
Especially in creative endeavors. For me, I get like I feel threatened.
Yeah.
And so I try my best to be especially helpful.
Yeah.
When someone asks for my opinion, because I'm like, I don't want this. I want more creativity in the world.
And then it's like, what if creativity just became a larger percentage of the GDP?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like,
but then I'm like, but I'm not the best creative.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. If you can't beat the best people at their best, you don't deserve to be.
Yeah.
And you know what I did? I did something I'm really proud of, and it's so irrelevant, like compared to anything, not even the grand scheme of things. I haven't told you this story. So, I still have to, bro. I stay up at night sometimes thinking about this. Now
I'm excited.
No, that's the bad part of this. The good part. So I was, we need to go there, by the way. So at Target near Cornell, I just doxed myself.
Yeah, definitely not in the title of your podcast.
Well, it's just notes of Cornell student. That doesn't mean I'm at Cornell.
Which I'm not.
Yeah, I'm at Donlin Hall. This is no, sorry, West Campus. Room
Gothics.
Room 240 of the Gothics.
Yeah, great dorms, by the way. Yeah, they have air conditioning.
And don't have mice.
Yeah.
Anyway, near the Target here, there's like a punch machine, like a punching machine where you can, hit the bag and, it gives you a score.
Yeah.
And so I do that every time I go there. And, one of my goals, just, as like it's just a thing that I'd be sad if I couldn't do, is to break the machine before I leave school. And what that I mean, like get 999.
Yeah.
And so, what?
Like you just pull up to Target and they're like, "All right, you want to get food?" It's like, "No, wait."
I do that, bro. Whenever I go with someone, I'm like, "You're gonna have to just like stand."
Y'all go.
It's not near. It's like a 2-minute walk away from Target.
Yeah,
it's like in the mall, and so I did it a couple of times, right? And then I was just sitting with my friend waiting for my phone to get fixed, and I saw these other kids like trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one bigger looking kid, and he did it, and he got like 100 less than me. He's quite a bit bigger than me. I was like, ha, no, I'm kidding. But then there was a kid like that was a little bit smaller than me, and he hit it, right? And he hit it like a baseball, like how you pitch a baseball, foot off the ground.
Yeah.
And it got like 20, 30 points below me. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So they started walking, and I was like, yo, wait up, hold up. And I asked the kid, were you the guy that I think I got like, let's just choose arbitrary numbers. I got like 8, let's say I got 860. He got like 830.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, were you the guy that got 830? And he was like, yeah. I was like, come here. And so I bought 5 more tries. I was like, hit it again. And so he hit it, he got like 700. I was like, you got 2 more. Because I wanted to take the last one. He hit it again, got like 730. Hit it again, got like 740. I was like, all right, fine. You know what? Take the last 2. And he hit it again. It was fine. Mm-hmm. And then he hit it, and he beat my score by 20 points.
On the last one?
Yeah, on the last one. And I was like, I fucking knew it. I knew he could do it. And like, after that, I was like, now I need to beat this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I created this monster, and now I need to fucking beat it.
Wait, how did he do better on the last one?
You make adjustments over time, like and sometimes you just get a better swing, put more hip into it. It's like, and he was doing it like.
Wait, why did you know he was gonna do well? Because he.
I just had an intuition.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm saying I knew.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
I was actually like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
But I was like, let him just keep trying, because like he was doing it a few times before that too, right? And he got like very differential scores, and he got 30 points below me, being smaller than me. So I was like, this is not an obvious like route to power. Like it's something he's doing here.
That's right.
That's right, and he's only going to be able to do it a few times.
Yeah.
And so now I set up this monster for myself, right? And now I'm gonna beat
now
it.
you have to beat him.
Yeah, and so let's say he got like 850.
Yeah.
And it was like 20 points more than mine. So I spent, bro, I hit this thing. I hit this thing like 10 times.
Yeah.
And on the second last one, no kidding, 849. And my hand is like hurting at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, but I'm burning. Like, I am not leaving here until I do this. But then I had to get my phone, and there was like a lot of complications. I had to go get cash. And in all that, like, me and my friend went back to like her car. And I was like, fuck, no, I forgot. Because I was not going to leave.
Yeah.
I was not going to. And so now I have to go back and beat that fucking score.
Yeah.
And, bro, I'm like, every time I think about that, I am burning.
Yeah.
Like, I am so. I don't know. Like, bro, I'm just competitive about shit that, like, I care about. And it's so irrelevant, right? Like, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
But I set up this monster. I created him. I'm gonna destroy him now.
Yeah, so the point is about the point relating to the pie is that you gave yourself by helping someone else.
If I can't beat someone at their best, I don't deserve to beat them.
Yeah.
I don't deserve you don't deserve what you're getting unless you beat the best of the competition. Yeah. That's how you become the best. Yeah. And, you know, I'd actually forgotten that's how I started. I was just telling the story. But yeah, that was thank you for that. I would not have been able to go back.
Yeah, because you could have just let that kid get a worse score than you. Yeah.
And walk away.
Yeah. And be like, and just sort of just dismiss.
Bro, it was $5.
It was his first try. He didn't have crazy good form or anything. Like,
it was $5.
Yeah.
I spent $5 on his fucking try.
It's a big Pascal's wager. Seems like nothing compared to that. Monuse wager.
Oh my god, bro. And when he got that, I was like, I felt so much satisfaction and also like, alright, let's go.
Let's do it, yeah.
And I'm gonna go back and beat that thing, bro. I swear to God. I was prepared to stay there all night and spend like, well, I didn't, it's my parents' money, right? But I'd won some money from something and I was like, I'm gonna spend as much as I can. My hand was like hurting, bro. Yeah. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm beating this fucking stuff. Yeah. We gotta go do the punch machine.
Yeah, I'd be down.
It's fun, bro. Like,
I gotta pick up some Fairlifes.
Yes, there you go. Then I gotta get these Quest chips all the time. Yeah. Protein chips. Sponsor me. I actually wish they were, because I eat them a lot. I'd take a Quest sponsorship. But yeah, how did we get to like the pie getting bigger?
Because we were talking about the economy and UBI.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, UBI. So I think UBI. I've thought about it a lot because of this whole question of how people are going to use the money, right? Yeah. But I do think like most people just do need that little leg up, the little push to spiral them into something better.
It would be really interesting if it was like you could only spend the money on a passion project, how'd you
enforce that?
Well, what you do is you don't give them the money unless they submit their passion project, and then someone looks over it.
Yeah, but some people need it for expenses. Like this is what I'm saying. Right? Like,
okay, fine. They have to show what the expenses they need it for first. Let's say.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have that anyway, but there's a lot of complications.
Yeah, logistically.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think there's some barrier to entry. You wanna?
Yeah, I think we should wrap up.
Try to wrap up, all right?
This is a good last podcast.
No, yes, I have a few things to wrap it up. So we didn't really get into a few things, which I'm just gonna set up here for a later discussion, which is, your life and what you want to do, and why do anything? Yeah, and I think we can talk about that at another time. This whole incest conversation, I think we could get into that a lot deeper too. I just want to do some more research on it, and then to wrap things up, I I have a quote book that I started a long time ago.
I have a quote book too.
Okay.
Cool.
Didn't ask. Didn't ask. Anyway.
I was like, that's cool. Because
it was really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't ask.
Okay.
But, you know. Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah. You write that yourself?
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Didn't ask. Yep.
Anyway, but these are like all quotes that, you know, every time I've felt something, as I've heard a quote, I've put it down. And I want to try and end the podcast every time with a quote, stealing it from Lex Friedman.
That's cool.
That's just what Lex Friedman does. He does that every time. And I've always liked that touch. So I want you to pick a number. I can't always do the pick a number thing, but since this is the first time, I can. Pick a number between 1 to 34.
33.
And I think we'll do 2 because we did the other podcast, and I do plan on cutting that up and not stitching it together and uploading it.
Yeah.
So let's do 2.
33.
33? All right. This one, okay. God punishes you by giving you everything you want to see if you can handle it.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I heard that from somewhere.
You know what? I've got Uncle Mike written down because
Really?
that's what I call him, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I see him as just this perennial uncle.
I know. I see him as like a dojo guy.
Yeah. That could kill you.
Yeah.
With one hand.
Yeah. With one
pick,
finger.
Yeah,
just
pick another number between 1 to 34.
2.
Yeah, the ones that mean the most to me are at the top.
Okay. I'll pick 1 next time.
Well, I don't know if I'll let you pick next time. But that is the one that means the most.
Okay.
But this one obviously.
That's cool how you ordered them.
I didn't. Only the first few are. I just moved the ones that like really hit me.
To the top, yeah.
But all of these are like
equally,
awesome
yeah.
to me. But this is the second. If you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. Miyamoto Musashi.
You will see it in everything?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Find out next time. I could talk about it. So the conception of the way, right? That's basically when Miyamoto Musashi wrote the Book of Five Rings, and a lot of it's about Bushido and samurai conduct. But the way, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. The way I conceptualize it is if you understand yourself, and if you understand what you are passionate about, what your motivations are, what your virtues, your values are, you'll see it in everything. You'll see the way forward.
It doesn't matter the situation you're in.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You'll know the right path.
Right, and
that makes sense.
Right, and also, how to conduct yourself in different situations.
Yeah.
You'll see the way.
Yeah.
Once you know it broadly.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
It's like the difference between the guy who memorizes the formula, who can do it in one instance, and the guy who understands the concept, who can do it in every instance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Bennett.
It's been real.
It's been real.
I'm sure you'll
never say that again.
Well, that's like a normal thing.
Shut the fuck up, bro. You've never said that to me in my entire time knowing you.
No, I say that.
It's been real?
Well, normally we don't have like a thing where it like ends.
So we don't need to.
Alright, it hasn't been real. It's been I'll see you tomorrow.
Pew 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 pew.
Alright. Peace.